Не, в подвал не надо. Убьют. Стоп.
Молю бога. Нажимаю по кэм. Он даст сначала кушку.
Что за проблема? Сейчас фуллскрин открою и нормально будет.
Он как будто бы начекал тебя.
Если он вернулся, maybe можешь вернуться тоже в тот спот. Maybe. Не знаю.
Он прям до мной чел топает.
Да, ему еще лучше не топать.
Бэйби.
Нужен топ-14.
А, вообще.
Нормально, они все в ту сторону идут, походу. А не, один остался на доме. Право, право, нет.
Я под камень хочу отжаться. О, ебать.
Тебе надо было не под камень, а под правую,
За стенку, наверное.
За стеночку, да. Тука.
под
Ну,
камень.
то 15 это 1 поинт.
Тут 15 один point?
Да.
Так.
They're barcoding, I think. Well, we should be able to walk up again.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure no one's banned.
These guys went around C now, so.
Definitely two at least.
They have crypto, I think. Yeah, they have crypto. Shooting back.
Crypto, shoot crypto! Crypto's like AFK! 150 on crypto! A crack you guys well!
We can shot in the back though.
Crypto was AFK, bro. Fuck.
John?
We can't push. It's a guy in the fucking ceiling too.
Almost knocked.
Can we move here? Is this free? Let's go bridge with me.
Okay.
But be careful that these guys don't fucking swing out on us.
Nah, they're in shambles, bro. One blue armor.
They're
Yes,
fucking
two
valk
armors.
crypto. Why are they so late? We can take the zip on up on me.
I think someone well cooled it from C note.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Might be them. I think we just have to go inside barrow no matter what. There's only 13 spots alive. Like a lot should be free.
Yeah.
I think landing. Landing in front of us. That's good. We can maybe 3 this.
Okay.
Can we take this?
Kara East.
Go top, you.
Yeah, but late. Take it late, I guess.
Yeah. Super late.
Yeah.
Just take top for now.
Take it top.
You
Take
can
it
shot
top.
from
I'm getting.
shot it up.
Yeah, coming back.
Какой прекрасный урон у Хаггиса.
They're still up there. They fucking
What the
sucks.
fuck? There was a resin antenna. Faculty from southeast.
Ну вот почему? Почему так лагает?
Nobody around us. Are they in this building, in fact? Are they in this one? The close
I
one?
don't know. I don't see anyone there.
You check it. If there's nobody there, we take that.
No, there is a team there.
Okay.
Well, credit in that building.
Minus 50 on the sail below.
Can you watch behind this Hawkins?
I got a bass first. I mean, we can take this, but it sucks. Like, we're gonna get shot from height. Fighting out in the water.
Team on bridge. The tunnel team is going towards bridge. Guys. Oh no,
Yeah,
they're going back on the rock. They're going back on the rock now.
Okay.
Bangalore team.
I think
I'm just giving info.
we're playing for the, yeah, we're doing the thing. We're going here then. We're just playing for this.
Bridge team well cooled it.
Yeah, that's good. If they
Playing
land
for
on
what? I
the
guess I
building,
didn't
we
see.
can
I
TP
didn't
that.
see.
On my mark.
Oh, yeah, okay.
In front of us.
Нави в
They're landing on the
споте.
building. They're inting, I think.
А, Нави уже закрыли.
Yeah, letting you know spot, I think.
Okay.
One guy landed under.
Туэксы тоже
Hey, the
отъехали.
rest of them. I got scanned. We're just playing for this.
I'm just watching our backs now, guys.
We
Everywhere.
can play low gun as well. Like, low gun works. If we get hard shot here, we just have to play low gun. I'm crossing right now. Batting right now.
Moving.
We're safe on me, but they don't have what's it called? We can pinch this team in the elevator. They're in the elevator still. If you want to cross them, I can thermite for you, Yuki.
I can cross.
Okay. I'll thermite anyway.
Okay, I'm crossing now.
I'm burning
Going
one.
now, guys.
Hope we can make it.
Block is
One
only
blue
blue.
on
There's
the
another
right.
guy below.
Where?
Another guy below.
Okay, you can look
I
for
finished
that,
him, I
you can
finished him.
look for that. I'm trying.
I finished him.
I'm trying to work with this thing.
Там Максон еще доедает.
Your teammate.
Свининок и Долфина.
They're going below them, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, there. One
Crack,
truck.
crack. I gotta heal a few.
Отдали.
Care west, by the way. Can we look west?
Yeah, I can look west. Yuki's on west.
We want to look for 3P west. We need to get zone somehow.
Well, they're fighting west. They're engaging west. They're poking west. They're
Can we 3P? Can we 3P? Okay.
Yeah, we
might
can,
get
but
mirrored.
these guys still on the roof.
Team out here.
90 on Valk.
I think our goal
Hang on,
is
team.
Valkyrie and playing the rocks out here. I think our goal is Valkyrie and running the rocks here. And just like looking for 3P. I think that's our goal here. We have to wait for this team to Valkyrie first though.
This team Valk. What the fuck? They Valkyries from that back of that rock.
Wait, they left us?
This
both?
team is moving. The
No,
building
no,
team
no,
is
no,
moving.
No. There's
They're
two
pushing
teams
up.
here. There's
Mirror.
two teams here. Yeah, we can
Mirror.
fight this. They're fighting. They're gonna go.
Mirror,
we can
mirror,
fight this.
mirror. Go, go,
For
go,
sure,
go,
for
go,
sure,
go,
for
go,
sure.
go. Take the building, I'm scanning.
Yeah.
Nobody close, we're good.
Wait for Nox, please.
Yeah, we can shoot this kid in the back behind the car.
Wait.
He's low.
Okay.
Dead.
Nice. Perfect. I'm breaking their zero T.
Fighting outside. See one, dead.
Я
Watch
почти.
out, push up. Kill thing.
Here, crack.
Run him. Knocked him.
Care bridge.
Гнаски минус.
Hammer behind us, watch out.
Yeah. Play this side. We're happy. I'm with you.
Pushing.
Boy, he's blind.
Crack.
Неплохо. Последний остается.
He's blind. Nice. Stay blind. Look around. Okay.
Максон
Behind
минус.
me, behind me. It's a solo, I think. You can raise me.
I'm gonna res. Okay. No. I'm covering. I knocked him. Oh, one guy. I did 100.
Хорош.
I knocked one.
We have to Valkyrie fast.
Okay.
I'm finishing.
I can't fit. He's over here.
Come in Valkyrie.
5 seconds.
Okay. Where the fuck are you?
Come here, Valkyrie. Fast. He's one shot.
Go. Wait. I gotta go.
Nice, Daddy. Send
do
it.
now.
Send it.
Holy shit.
We're looking for the rocks. Look for the bins.
This team on high.
Yeah, that's fine.
We can
Maybe here.
queue up on them.
Them.
Oh, we
Play
can't.
underneath them.
Yeah. Copy that.
Stay underneath them. They can't push us. They have Watson. Play on me. We're good. Stay
I need
back.
pop back. Cover me.
Shoot back into the fucking water.
Okay, cover me.
He's flash.
Behind the car,
I need
look at the car.
light. I need light.
Crypto. One. Dead.
Down.
Watson.
Это это. Геймтронс минус. Райзена принимает.
Look left.
И последний остается.
But
Care above.
Nice. I need light, guys.
Вот что значит без ротации, без Валькирии играть.
Save on me.
Просто в опене
On
умерли.
the back.
The solo is still down here.
Leave that solo there.
Watson, break it. Careful.
pushing, I'm queuing up.
I died. Use me if you need to.
1 HP.
Maybe you
Watson.
Ой-ой-ой.
Oh, that's fine.
It was a good game.
IG.
We got 11 points for that fucking shit game.
Ну, поинтов много, кстати. Топ-6.
Fuck
Top 6 и 6.
dude, you literally launched me into the Watson's face. I was like, I didn't even get the goal. I just got launched in his face. I was like, okay.
Got the gen down just in time, almost caught in the animation there, which caused the problems for Graceful, but it looks like he survived for now. Now some shots coming in to try and hold off this push coming in from Ascend, and you know it's Ascend because you see that wall going down, but it's not going to be wide enough to keep Lufka on his feet.
2 versus 3. Ascend looking to get aggressive so that they could have taken that priority position we speak of. The res, of course, could come through from the Newcastle as well, and maybe IG recognizing that, but Corpa get eliminated, Kashira goes down, and IG have done what they needed to. They have pushed Ascend back, and now Ascend are going to run away with their tails between their legs.
Yeah, it looks like Ascend have lost a couple of players, as you say, which is going to make their run towards this endgame much more difficult. Post-kill, the only player alive, and look at him. He's got Ember behind him. IG have got to look at this as well.
Команда Horizon, тем не менее, жива еще.
Ember do move in, and it will be Young Hong Kong who does
Их
get
двое
that
внутри
final
были.
kill. So Ember into the top 3, but IG is the story of this game, Dan. Like you say, early positioning, it's been so good from them, but we mentioned how influential the Kraber can be, and if you look at Babish right now, that man's got a Kraber in his hands.
Also, the other issue you've got to look at is IG are the meat in the sandwich right now. They're between the two teams, and if Ember and Horizon push at the same time, it could be difficult. Ember are doing the damage. Noises goes down. This could be catastrophic for IG.
Oh, and they're just shredding them at the moment. They can't get them back. They're trying to cancel their heals. Young Hong Kong's going to get away himself, but surely that's just going to be the opening for a third party to come in. Invictus have been eliminated, but it looks like they're going to be able to get a little reset here. So as you say, Horizon is 3v2. They didn't take the advantage in that situation. Maybe they needed to win that game.
Oh, 0-0 will send it on to Ember, but unfortunately gets absolutely destroyed by the 3, and now it's a 1 versus 3, and what would seem impossible here right now.
Там еще и Крабер был.
It will be Ember who made that late move into the zone to
Ember
pick up
первый.
the first place finish. They will be your champions. But I think the points will be very interesting to look at the end of this game, Dan, because there was a couple of teams who seemed
Вот
very
какого
happy
черта у
in
меня
those KP.
предпросмотр лагает? Вот что это? И зависло нахуй. У вас то же самое? У вас на Твиче то же самое? Или все норм? Так, вторая закончилась, альянсы на первом все равно. Так, сколько они полутали здесь? 11, нормально. Подвисает немного. Не у меня на стриме, а когда вы какой-нибудь стрим также открываете, у вас виснет или нет?
Break here going into game number 3. Gaskin, so far from what you're seeing here, obviously Alliance performing well, but anything else standing out to you?
I think Ascend's consistency in their rotations is really paying off, and having the addition of the only Newcastle in the lobby is working out as well. I think Newcastle offers a lot of utility that a lot of Legends
Вот full screen открываю нормально.
Ability to both res and get the shield down is helping out Ascend right now, but I'm loving seeing the kind of differences in Legend selection. John, I know you're a fan of a bit of variety as well, so seeing these off-meta picks, the Rampart featuring as well for G-Dolphin, it just makes it extra spicy in these lobbies.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you. Obviously, a sad day that we had to say rest in peace to Lifeline for competitive Apex. E6 walking away from the Lifeline pick. You saw them tweeted out a little bit ago, or at least starting today, but they're going for a pretty, I think they're running default team comp of Seer Horizon and Valkyrie. Let's take a look at the highlights from game number 2 and see what other comps are on display. And you mentioned it, the only Newcastle in the lobby in the hands of Ascend, which is a bit surprising here, Dan. And so talking about that, obviously in NA we see a lot more Newcastle, only Ascend rocking Newcastle here as you walk me through the highlights.
Yeah, I feel like people are starting to lean away from Newcastle in this region, and I think that maybe comes down to some of the aggression that we're seeing, the more Horizon picks coming in as well. Alongside Seer, you do have the ability to play a little bit more aggressive, and even though there are Watsons that are playing very defensive and setting up in areas, with Cryptos also featuring quite heavily, and I think around, what, 25% we've seen featuring, you are going to see a lot of those fences just get taken down. So it's going to be so difficult to try and stay on those Watson's teams. So we're seeing people trying to find more of an aggressive comp that can kind of match it. But also it goes from region to region. If you start to see a lot of Newcastles, it means that you can also play Newcastles. It means you might be punished if you start to try and include it.
Well said. I think you've seen the meta shift a bit already so far in EMEA. It's going to continue to do so throughout the Pro League, which is always fun to analyze and fun to discuss. The Kansas City Pioneers looked like they were having themselves a great game, but of course ended up getting focused by every single team. Despite the Watson fences in their hand, they get pushed by Alliance, who is playing the exact opposite of Ascend. You saw Alliance playing hard edge and doing it to some success.
Yeah, really successful.
Пушистик, можешь проверить? Просто вот любой стрим открыть. Не full, а вот так. И будет у тебя лагать или нет? У меня даже реклама лагает. Бля, ну это у меня походу проблема. Потому что, скорее всего, если я открою какой-нибудь видос здесь, например, то же самое будет, да? Ну да.
Very aggressive edge fighting for Alliance, but Ember is going to certainly be in the top 2 or top 3 overall. Kudos to them. They're a team that was coming in not necessarily well secured or well cemented in overall standing, so they need a big game. Pioneers, though, again, disappointing for them. Not the finish they'd like here on Stormpoint. They got one more game, one more opportunity to close it out on SP. We'll see if they can do it. Vex Gaming with 7 kills, but the story for Vex...
Ну ладно, хотя бы фуллскрин работает. Потом буду разбираться, в чем проблема.
I think that Vex points, the fact they got 8 and Horizon, who finished in second place, got 9, shows how different you can play this game, right? No kills plus placement can get you a lot of points, but a lot of kills and little placement can still get you around the same points as those who are kind of 2nd through 6th. But you're not going to get those big games. You're not going to have that opportunity to have that like 20 plus point game that we see so many of these teams do, where they get kills plus placements. And I think as the season comes to an end, I think placement is going to matter more than kills ever so slightly, but it's about knowing when to play placement. It's about knowing when to go for kills. It really is down to that circle, down to where that zone is moving, John, because if the zone is nowhere near you, you have to try and prioritize kills. You have to try and be aggressive. Otherwise, you're just going to get punished when you try and walk in late.
Yep, that's a great point. And in the end, multiple ways to play the game, which you love to see. But if you want to be a top 3 team, you got to be able to do both, at least 1 or 2 games out of the series. Otherwise, you're going to continue to hover in that 5th, 6th place where Vexed has been for quite some time. Let's take a look at the final circle and final moment of that game. Dan, in that one, walk me through it.
So it looked like IG were in prime position. They were kings of the mountain. They had the Watson fences set up, but Ember moved in late, got their own Watson fences down, and they took this fight. And I don't know whether IG pushed a little bit too soon or whether Ember really were the aggressors and initiated it, but it seemed like IG weren't as ready as Ember was in that engagement. So I think IG maybe got caught off guard ever so slightly. And then once this was a 3 versus 2, I don't think there was any doubt in anyone's mind that Ember were going to win this fight. Horizon tried to get aggressive, hoping that Ember would have lost a player or 2. You can see 0-0, goes round to peek, and unfortunately he peeks into 3 boys who all shred him to pieces, and then Mimu, the last remaining on Ember, had really no chance in a 1 versus 3. You shouldn't see a 1 versus 3 happen at this level in Apex Legends unless you're seeing huge mistakes from that 3, no matter how good the final player is.
Yeah, I agree. Ember, kudos to them. They basically just snatched that game right from IG. They earned it by winning that 3v3 against Invictus. But surprisingly enough, yeah, you're not going to lose a 2v3. But Young Hong Kong had 1 HP, literally. No shield swaps were available. He kept looking for a shield swap. They had to heal up the old-fashioned way. They popped a med kit. They popped a shield battery. So if Horizon pushes that fight 10, 15 seconds earlier, and that's kind of the art, right? You have to know when to push your opportunities, especially if you're a team of 2 in a late game. They probably have a much better chance and potentially can win out that 2v3, but Horizon was just a little bit slow there.
Yeah, they were a little bit slow. I did see on the map head that one of them was still looting as well. I think they were trying to take the opportunity to get back up to a full state where they could get weapons, they could get shields. It was just a little bit too slow. Unfortunately, that's timing. That's what can happen sometimes. I think they'll be happy with the 2nd place finish. They got.
Я понял. Да, это у меня проблемы какие-то.
They still got 9 points.
Я ребутнул, все равно не помогло.
And in the end, Ember takes the 1st place finish and earns it, taking out IG as we said. And you may say, Ember who? I'm not really familiar with Ember as a pro league team. Yeah, that's right. They qualified through. It's a rookie squad of 3 up-and-coming players from Denmark. Fricks and Co. absolutely dominate Bavis and Young Hong Kong. All 3 of them from Denmark, I believe. And they perform big time in game number 2. And that's what's been so interesting about our new pro league. A lot of new names, a lot of new faces that have been able to shine. And in EMEA, it's really interesting. It's not as top-heavy as you see it in North America, where you have a clear 2, 3, 5 teams that are your top dogs. In EMEA, it's really anybody's game. And any given Sunday or Thursday, you have an opportunity for a new team to step up, and so far it looks like Ember has been that team. The question is, can they do it consistently here overall? Any other teams kind of like Ember that's really been surprising you as a team you wouldn't have expected to perform so far? Yes.
I mean, I guess I know that Vexed have it in them, but seeing some of those fights happening, the aggression that we saw from Vexed, I think they had a fantastic game there. They were just punished by the 3rd party in the end. With how important some of those 1v1s can be, there's a lot of pressure on these players, and I do think that you're completely right. When it comes to this region, it's so tight. You look at any one of these rosters and it feels like they could all have that game where they do get a victory, but we don't see as many pop-off games. We don't see the kind of 30 bombs that could potentially happen that we have seen in other regions, and I think that's credit to how impressive every roster is. There is no easy pickings, really. Even those who qualify through challenges, they are still finding success here, and I love see it. I love a region that is this closely contested, John.
Так.
Yeah, and any opportunity or any single pro league day, any team can step up.
Ни хрена не поменялось, да?
Which you love to see as well.
Мужики лагают все равно.
Well, on the flip side, though, I think the opposite is true.
Ладно.
We have teams that we expected to show up and perform and haven't necessarily, and that one is Gaiman. Gaiman Gladiators, again, we continue to highlight them. We don't want to talk negatively on them because they obviously are one of the best teams historically, but they got to wake up. We don't see them in the standings overall. We haven't seen them perform consistently in games number 1 and 2. We talk about this being a do-or-die type of pro league day for them as we're entering the halfway point. What do you want to see out of Gaiman here? What hasn't been working for them in your eyes, guys?
Yes, it's tough, isn't it? Because every time we've jumped on board with them, they've been caught in a fight, whether that be mid-rotation where they weren't expecting it or a third party arrives. It just seems to be there's an excuse for Gaiman Gladiators every time, but you've got to try and minimize those risks. You've got to try and do something a little bit different. Whether that's going to be a composition change, whether it's going to be your method of rotation. Are you going to rotate faster? Should you be rotating slower? These are all the questions that they're going to be asking themselves, because individually we know they have the potential, they have the skill ability to take these fights, but they just seem to be caught off guard each time. So I'm hoping that the Gaiman Gladiators can find some of the form that we've seen previously when they were competing in other pro leagues, but for now they are struggling, that's for sure.
Well said. All eyes on Gaiman, for those that are not aware. Gaiman Gladiators, formerly FA Kitties, former Gambit Esports, the team that dominated the beginnings of the ALGS in EMEA, has been nowhere to be found. The first 3 weeks of Pro League. Can they turn it around today? That is the question. I want to point out, Ember won that last game. And actually, quick discussion point, Dan, not to disagree or kind of be the pessimistic one here in the discussion, but you always kind of make a point of the team that are closest to circle have a clear advantage. The stats don't lie. If I recall correctly from champs, the stats actually show that it was 50-50, split down the middle. And from what I've seen overall, I'd love to actually, if we haven't, a statistical breakdown, anyone that's been tracking it, or any zone.
Light attım.
Light ammo here.
Kenan'ı alsak mı ya?
Bence alalım.
Ben önden alayım, bekle.
Вась, здорово, спасибо. Надо будет воспользоваться, думаю.
Mavi var.
Okay. 0 diyor hala. Devam edelim.
Flatline here.
Plate aldım. Kar attım oraya.
Sağdan devam ediyorum abi.
Evet.
Вот только окно не активно, только я тыкаю что-нибудь другое, все, лаги.
Ulti hazır mı?
Ye. Ultimate de var ben.
Ulti atalım o zaman bence yani. Yapacak bir şey yok kanka, koşmayalım daha, yetişemeyiz yoksa.
Tamam. Gel. Seri.
Geliyorum. Taş boşsa taşa düş. Ev doludur. Yani
Takım daha
bak
kötü.
bomba attın aynen. Bak bakalım, taş boşsa taşa düş, yoksa şuraya geri dön.
Oradan attılar onu. Aynen. Taştan ulti attılar.
Taştan.
Ha okey.
Taştan ulti attılar, evet. Jurassic var.
Bunlar geliyor. Bunlar geldi.
Yo, eve dön. Okay, aydı kaldı.
Okey. Sihir kaldı burada. Önümde gidiyor.
Aynen gördüm. Çok çıkma.
Battayım.
Okey.
Battayım.
Ya yalan bir sikeyim senin.
Eve
Bu
döndüm.
ev niye boş amına koyayım?
Ben de anlamadım ki niye çıktılar buradan.
Biz erken çıkmışız.
Buraya geçmişler.
Biz erken çıkmışız ya da çoğu takım alana bak bilmiyor yani.
Bence alanı bilmiyordu ya. Daha launchpad mi bu alan acaba?
Ya Launchpad'in
Kanka, biz
altına
her
falan
türlü
kurulan
iyiyiz.
var.
Biz Alperen şunu al. Biz her türlü iyiyiz. Her türlü iyiyiz. Adam aldı. Adam kaldırdı. What the fuck?
Burada değil.
AG минус, Аценда минус. А кто там файтится?
Uçanlar
Ну, из всех, кого я открыл, никого.
Uçanlar kaç kişi?
Uçanlar 3'tü abi. 3 gördüm ben.
Canları 3'te 3'te 3'te. Bir HP çocuk. Al morumu.
Bak bunların Watson'u falan yok. Bunlar bakacağım. Yok varmış Watson. Okay, okay. Sihir Watson.
Watson.
Aynen. Bu çokta var kanka galiba Zone Northpet ya. Bak köşeye attı diye millet oraya
Northpet
kaçtı
mi?
sanırım.
Bence iyi yerimizde ya şu an.
Okay.
Bence de iyi ya. 18 squad var daha. Ben geldiğimiz yöre doğru bakıyorum. Sadece oraya bakıyorum, okey? Ayık.
Okay, okay,
Alperen.
okay. O Athena'nın kapısındaki takım da Zone'u gördükten sonra bence şey yapacak. Bak onların skeni yok. Gördün mü? Zone'u gördükten sonra arkamıza ya da Athena'nın önüne koşacak. İkisinden biri.
Launchpad'e matafeler atlıyordu. Şu üst.
В рук подоели. Окей, 17. О, гамбиты
Да,
за...
тут, короче, не поставить нормально, оно не
За
ставится,
Краликсом.
короче. Это хуйня.
Это оборона, конечно.
15 сквадов.
Очень хороший пик. Сир для файта. Для обороны Ватсон. Для ротейта Валькирия.
У меня 2 миллигана, поэтому я не смогу на рейнже давать.
Прям очень приятный пик.
Били миллиган. Что скажешь?
Челы летят где-то, я не вижу их, пока.
У меня и лайты, и хэвики. У
чё?
меня карьева.
Сколько
160, 160 и 120.
Чего с по баночкам? Я до 8 еще.
То же
Ну да.
самое. 2 шоколадки присутствуют.
Там какая-то...
Челы
Got ourselves a bandit out there.
Horizon, по-моему, там было.
Если есть чем, надо уже их типа отпукивать. Ну, показываю, что мы здесь.
Ну, нет, погано, патронов очень мало.
Здесь нет. Так, ну дома.
Хорош.
Серым. Бля, я знаешь, что думаю? Может тачку спидить? И поставить ее на дверь.
Как будто бы...
Пушку перелезли на антенну.
Вот кто магнитолы пиздил в
Еще
детстве.
один спад спина идет.
Bandit out there.
Первый сразу я прошел.
Но вообще-то тут можно показать.
Можешь забочить.
Да не, нам
17
надо
складов.
именно проем. Надо.
Это у меня есть. Будет вообще неприятно, если вот тут склад появится. Типа, если нам нечем покать, то прям...
Блин, Ватсон же еще пассивкой армор пополняет.
Сейчас спину закроем, можем.
Даже если катушка закончилась, ты скидываешь армор Ватсон, Ватсон его хилит. А ты дальше пикаешься.
Пустить никого вот тут.
Ну у тебя машина стоит, им только на нее залезать, а мы в принципе можем под ней стоять и нас не распокать.
Нет, еще
никак.
дохуя зона будет. Ну вообще да, прав.
Надо будет либо садиться в тачку, либо еще что-то делать. Ну либо запрыгивать на нее, а у нас типа энгла будет. Единственное, у них варик будет, они через кушку просто подлетят и сверху расстрелят.
Ну и через забор сам могу тоже расстрелять. Как будто бы, знаете, нету смысла, вот если они типа в упор подходят, нету смысла пикаться, можно чуть дальше отойти и просто контролить эту тачку, пока не будет перелазить. Типа просто проход контролить.
Ну, Костик это искал. Ну что, по факту только через эту хуйню можем пройти.
Ну да.
Либо это, либо кушка Horizon.
Да.
Тут только два пути. А мы на пути самураев.
Твой кот.
Я на пути
Помнишь эту
камикадзе.
пословицу? Бля, жалко, на тебя нельзя стик повесить, как раньше, бля, были времена.
Бля, я бы залетал в троих, как нехуй.
Ну вообще так я делал.
Бля, раньше веселее, да, было когда? Типа
Да,
приколов так
блин,
много было.
когда на дрона можно было стики тоже навешивать.
Да.
просто
Это вообще кайф был.
Да, только когда ты это делаешь и не против тебя.
Когда чел в бочку запирался, блять.
Парня, спины нету, но нас могут крутить.
Так, окей, смотрим, что нам лучше. Я думаю, бля, можешь попробовать вот эту сторону зачистить и попробовать выйти в щелк, да.
Сверху?
Выйти в щелк и играть сверху, да. Попробуем?
А можно посмотреть, вот тут типа есть чел, если...
А куда у нас собак собирается, что ли?
Ну, если
А на
только
кому
наверх
выйти?
нам лететь. Да, давай посмотрим, что тут.
Что там альянсы наваливают?
Никто никогда не пикал, блядь.
Да сменись ты, ёб.
You too, man. Nice damage. I beamed him as well.
Эффект вылетел.
Bro, I did like 300 damage with my spray.
No, same, bro. My spray did 300 as well.
Biggest thing is just have awareness here now.
Куда, интересный эффект переехал?
Like we're three, man. We cannot do anything otherwise.
We'll have to clear our back. Can we clear our eastward?
Grabbing the help much from the powers.
Walking up on us here.
That's fine, you got that, you got that.
Okay. No, I'm good. Yeah, I'm good here. Fuck
Я
it,
так
good.
понял, эффект вообще с концами молчит.
I mean, let's say that's fucking karma for killing our AFK. That was straight karma.
Do you scan deep here? Cause nobody's on these stairs, right?
If we get hard aped here, we can always drop down and play the building, Yuki, by the way. So.
Yeah. Okay.
Çünkü onların solu da gelir büyük ihtimal. Oraya bakarken geçeriz. Ya da EMP ver oraya, biz öyle geçelim. Daha
Ya
mantıklı
şimdi
sanırım.
takımlar uçmaya başlayacak ya.
Abi yapacak bir şey yok. Bende PK var.
Arkaya-
Eğer uçarsa
Arkaya ayık
vururuz.
olun abi.
Ben arkaya bakıyorum sadece ama bakamıyorum da izin vermiyor orası çocuğu. Çatıda duruyor çünkü.
20 saniye kaldı.
Tamam, ben EMP'yi hazırladım abi. EMP'yi veririm, koşarız.
Tamam.
Can geldi değil mi?
Can var, saklıyorum canı.
Biraz
Kenan
daha
arkasına
arkaya ayık
atarım
ol.
sanırım.
Biraz daha izle arkayı. Yavaş gelecek ya. zombi
Arkaya
yapasam
gelirse taş var abi. Yani taşın üstünden açık bir şekilde bunlar da bakacak yani. Zannetmiyorum bakmayacaklarını.
Да,
Я ям
Да,
большой,
надо
я ям
скатываться.
большой.
Давай. Я пока под эти камни скатываюсь.
По правой, там дерево.
Тут чел. Это возможно Соник.
Идет соло банга, по-моему, ставила.
нихуя.
Один чел умер от зоны.
Вот чел.
Мне кажется, возможно, Соник есть на карте. Но это не.
Взял на пике какой-то.
Его ебут. Я
Стенку,
просто
стенку
слева.
тыкаем.
Слева
Да.
слева фри, да.
Альянсы слева, блин.
Ну, ракета.
На чеку.
Окей.
У меня здесь чел. Даже суплаев.
Ебем бомжа.
А нет?
Это соло банга.
70 дал ему.
Другой склад сверху.
А,
Бил.
хорош.
Все, на чеке.
Аккуратно.
Плюс-поинт.
Да.
Я большой всем.
Так, ну они в зоне. Что будут делать? А, они уже заротейтились.
Sağ taraf
Onlara da ayık olun.
Практики ver. Красный армор у них аккуратно.
Так, у них там этот Энвил. Сложно будет перепекать. Чекаем зону.
Так, у меня, по-моему, какой-то Соник сидит.
Я какую-то вальку еще видел здесь.
Да-да-да.
Да, она где-то тут была.
А, го может поправо, типа, посмотрим, да-да-да.
Она где-то вот тут была.
По-моему, чилы наверху, что они не пикают нас.
Я не вижу тоже,
Я
не
думаю,
вижу
нам
никого.
надо на ноге через чел как-то попытаться пропушить.
Ты думаешь, может мы в спину этим зайдем просто?
Смотри,
Там
смотри,
топ
если
чекает.
они пошли в обход, они запиздят этот склад, а мы пососем его. Только нам нужно тогда зазонить фулл дом. Типа, чтобы из дома на нас не пошли.
Тут куча ресурсов,
Вот тут какая-то валька контролит.
У меня тэшка есть.
Окей.
Я фулл левый
Найс,
сейчас
найс.
начекаю, они съебались. Их
Окей,
тут нет.
окей, они запиздят этот склад, скорее всего, и мы можем подсосать щелка. Только надо фулл зазонить дом. На доме файт.
Я пока...
В подвале.
Я здесь чекаю все.
Там прям жестко, ёбка, мы не хотим подойти? 10 складов.
Так, он тут начекивает край. Нет смысла сюда идти.
Щелк тоже чекает, чел.
Да ёпта. Через спану. Щека пропекали меня.
Так, нам надо, наверное, будет либо... Короче, смотрите, мы либо файтим чок, либо идем в спину к этим.
Вот пойти в спину как будто бы охуенно. У вас
Я
неды
бы
есть?
заферпатил дом, как будто бы.
Там они
Надёжнее.
мне кажется, они заклинапили там уже сторону. Только что был файт, они закончили. Вообще я никого не вижу, как будто бы там только
Ну
один
да.
склад остался.
Они на пинге просто бегают.
Подожди, стреляются, надо мне идти, мне кажется, нет? Они как будто бы стреляют по
Я
кому-то.
помечен.
Справа. Окей. Валька на камне. Я
Иду
слажу
правой.
вниз.
Тоже
Бля, там
попал.
лучший.
Забей. Да, не дерусь.
Окей, го.
Найс. Хард ульта есть?
Я
Будешь глотку
не
кидать?
тороплюсь. Да, есть, да.
Я с вами.
Они где-то близко. Здесь.
Вот тут чел. Можно кликнуть?
Пока не стреляй.
Да.
Стреляй.
А это Краликс, по-моему.
Валька, но.
А, не, это Максон был.
Пожаться сюда можно.
Го.
Право при фраге,
Под правой камни.
Ага.
Справа, надо право.
Лифт.
Я по
Финиши
правой.
право, финиши право. Давай.
Да.
Я думаю, надо. Мой молик.
Стики туда накинул. Ломай.
Ломай.
Одного взорвал.
Один жестко по флешу горит. Нок.
Я на большой. Хорош. Ресеты пушим их.
Взорвал на 60 еще.
Ебем.
Я пушу.
Не
Я с тобой, Хард, я с тобой. До конца.
Я нокнул, решил.
Одно. Реша в углу. Всё, даю. Сейф. И меня сразу лёг сапармор кавари.
Я почти на.
Я феникс сниму, у меня костер. Нет? Я на целях.
Похуй.
Я дроп на норм.
Лёнь, они сверху, с этой стороны.
Я контролю.
Есть кит? Заберу.
Я ем шоколадку. Посмотрите право,
На зона
право,
перед
чтобы не подошли.
ебалом. Справа не подходит, там чел просто на углу.
Окей. Чё у нас слева?
Лево дерутся, надо полево,
Аликов душит.
Надо.
Закрыли.
За финишер, да, или нет?
Биг здорово.
Идем.
Играем
Сверху
слева стороны,
чела,
распокиваем
аккуратно.
вниз. Играем слева, по левой стороне, распокиваем. Я между встану в этой хуйне. Они в одном углу сидят, я дал
Они
туда.
есть?
5 баллов.
Бля, нет. Их убьют, по-моему, их
Да.
убьют.
Им хил отменили. Парень, там 2 по флеш.
Один остался, один живой остался.
Еще спад. Влетел.
Один горит.
Он один там.
Валька.
Валька по флешу.
О,
Отменяю ей всю хуйню.
Ебаться в нее, блядь, мне похуй.
Убил ее.
Хорош.
Не торопись, парень,
У нас зона.
Два спада.
Да.
Да я одного. Большой ем.
Хорош.
Лёня, правую сторону посмотри, лоу-граунд.
Да. Справа челы на ХГ пикаются.
Мне
Здесь в
патроны.
углу, на мне. Нокдаун шел, где прячется?
Я ему 100
Вижу.
трак.
Убил его нахуй.
Хорош.
Большой ем.
5 складов,
Не
5
торопитесь.
складов.
Под нами есть, давай.
Справа,
внутри втануло должно быть.
Да, все верно. По гараже. Парень,
Так.
надо лайты полутать.
Я лутаюсь. Лутай, вот. Я на дох лутаю немного. Тут лук есть, если надо.
Посмотрите, я тоже хочу полутаться.
Да.
Чтобы не проебались. Арморный свиш, достал один.
Не, никто. Узи играет или стримит? Смотрит.
Бля, тут ни у кого нет патронов.
Португалии. Хуя.
Бля, чем Соник, походу?
Иду к тебе.
Убил его.
Ебать, лучший.
Феникс. Феникс 7.
Дрона разъебать. Хорош.
Хорош. У нас зона ближе всего, нам нужно просто... Холдите хайграунд, я снизу буду играть.
Окей.
Еще один дрон, разъебать второго дрона.
Хорош.
Разъебал. Под кавер Лень, сейчас ставлю.
У меня дохуя найдов, я играю... Я вам справа контролю. Крипто на хайграунд идет.
Вот сюда чел мумнулся какой-то, на вальке.
Разъебать Крипто, что он тебе позволяет?
Он упал,
Золотые слова Арти.
Вальку надо прогнать.
Вообще офигел, козел.
Ушла.
На нее, у нее
Я
сезон
Она
Апекс.
ушла.
Меня двое пикают справа. С ноги. У них первее зона уйдет. Они в опен выйдут и запидятся. Парень, у нас подвалы нога как будто бы 2 сквада осталось, слышите?
Да.
Шуем.
Контроль,
слева на хайграунд.
КГшку контролем. Вниз мы падали, как будто бы у нас КГ. Да, пушит.
70. Крак!
Я свисел.
Ничего нет.
Одно, Ватсон.
Вижу.
Я вас
Снизу.
Пушьте.
Ну. Там еще один.
Жди там.
Арти, не нокаться, пожалуйста.
Просто живем.
Драконом. Они не в зоне. Сейчас будет открываться.
Мы всех видим. Да.
32 он сломал.
Я нижний взрываю всех, блядь.
Сверху.
Добить нижний.
Все,
Отлично. Ой, просто. Давай.
Убил нахуй!
Хорош, блядь.
Сюда!
Бэкэнд бизнес, бэйби. Хорош, пацаны, блин. Ну хорош, ну что это
Летел
такое?
прям.
Ну что это, блядь?
Пошел в десну
Ну.
долбиться.
Ну что? Не хватало,
Бля, у меня от бедра ничего не залетело.
Артур, я тебя обожаю, блядь, твоя инфа это просто лучше нахуй. Ёбнуть крипто, че это позволяет?
Да. Блядь, жаль, что вось все.
Horizon's gonna be taken out first, and Gaiman Gladiators will clean up after. They're gonna do it. Game number 3 with a 10+ kill game for Gaiman. They go huge and respond to the Call of Duty, Dan.
It's about time. We saw the Gaming Gladiators do what we know they are capable of, what they should have been doing for weeks, but finally they put it all together. They managed to get the pieces, and what an impressive display we've just seen with how they moved around the map, how they were approaching the edge of the circle and the teams they were able to fight, and how they just bullied their way into that final circle, taking one of the better positions off of Ember there. Extremely impressive, and what we would expect from GG. This is what we were hoping to see, John.
Absolutely.
Что ты, тварь, опять лагать будешь? Ну да, конечно.
Congratulations to Gaiman. It was a tough rotation. Again, a team that's not actually in zone or close to zone, rotating and finding success, which we all know, we discussed, kind of in current meta, difficult to do with a lot of Watson fences in play, and with everything that we saw, Gaiman still able
Что
to do
произошло, блядь?
12 to 15 kill game. I'm excited to take a look at the standings here in a moment.
Ну-ка, если так. Ты рано лагаешь, да, тварь?
We're going to welcome back Onset into the discussion here in a moment as well to break down all the action. Onset, I know you were watching. We said take a break, yet here you were. Every step of the way, I saw you in Discord communicating. I know you were watching as well. Your thoughts in game number 3?
Да, только перестает окно быть активное в браузере.
It's about damn time, right? That's what all I can say, because we have been waiting for GG to remind us of how good they are. That was the GG we have seen for so many years, just dominating 3v3 fights, creating openings through damage from the wingman of qadRaT, and it was just like, oh, something clicked. It was like, oh, this is how we played. Everything is working now, and the 3v3s were just beautiful to watch. And the thing that I loved about the end game as well is qadRaT was the initiator in so much of the damage. A lot of the time you'll see when you have those 3 teams remaining, a lot of teams are kind of trying to play close to each other, trying to not give any damage away. qadRaT's up on the high ground. He's like, I'm going to shoot you, I'm going to shoot you, I'm going to make you make decisions, and I'm going to create openings for my team. So I think that all in all, I'm now excited for the last 3 games, because I think that Gaiman Gladiators have needed that game. Now they have that game. They look like a completely different squad.
Yeah, completely agreed with you. Wingman and Hardeki, name a better duo. You saw it right there on display in full force in that late game. The amount of damage he was able to put into the Wingman in late game was just absolutely insane. So it's good to see Gaiman back to what we're used to seeing Gaiman doing, which is dominating specifically with a Wingman. As we take a look at the highlights here in just a moment from Game 3, we'll also take a look at the overall standings. But Dan, standings certainly going to be shaken up here with Gaiman, a team that was in the bottom 10, going huge. Ember gets taken out early, and Alliance do. Those are your top 2 teams.
Well, again, it just goes back to us talking about how tight this region is. You know, we were maybe thinking that perhaps we're moving down into the lower seeded teams, perhaps going to be a little bit of a pushover when it comes to some of these rotations, and then suddenly they pull out a game like that.
Settings Advanced охуенно, уже не работает.
They just sometimes have to tap into those core memories and make sure they can get playing like they used to in some of these games. And you know, Apex is a game where it can go against you at times. The circle might pull the wrong way, or a team might suddenly be in a stupid position because they've been forced out of their position by another squad who are rotating early. There's so many factors that come into disappointing performance that is more so just than individual skill or strategical ability. There is just so much you have to try and play for, and that's why
Тайгер, здорово. Какая игра была? Это была 3-я. Сейчас будет край света. 3 карты.
And one of those teams is the team we see on screen right now, KCP. So again, we talk about the journey that Gaiman had to get there. They had to get through KCP. They had to get through quite a few teams. Every step of the way, they did it with success. And here's the moment where they actually saw a little bit of duress. You wonder if Horizon would have just kind of aped them in this moment. They would have taken that exact positioning and ultimately had the spot that Gaiman had to close out the game. Instead, they let them survive, and Gaiman ends up being the biggest thorn in their side, Sunset.
Yeah, I mean, I actually want to talk about that play a little bit as well, because a lot of, you know, what makes a good Watson player, excuse me, was on display there. Even though one player goes down, if you're playing Watson and you get back to your feet, you have an armor dropped for you, and you get into a position.
Сейчас настройки сброшу браузера. Может одуплиться.
Get that gen down as quickly as possible, because not only is it going to allow you to heal a little bit quicker, but any grenades that get thrown.
Кардеки жесткие, да, Вова, здорово.
To reset a little bit more comfortably, and then it gets you into that end game. So that's something that maybe people who are playing Watson at home always carry that alt excel, because it gives you the opportunity to reset, especially in those tight moments where teams are looking to maybe overextend for third party. But in the end game, it's invaluable.
Agreed.
Ладно, во все тяжкие не получается. Чат. На секундочку, я Google Chrome удалю нахрен. Ага. Так. Ой, Explorer сразу. Установить Chrome. А может, перестановка? Переустановка поможет. Да, это я. Окей. Ух, ё-моё, она налетела.
Bir gün zorlu bir günün ardından rahatlamaya mı çalışıyorsun? Kardeşinin de şunu çalacağı tuttu.
Sen onu dinleme. Hararete kapılma. Sprite'la ferahla.
Запрос СМС, ё-моё. Забавно, вот смс-ки раньше не приходили. СМС-ки раньше не приходили. Да-да-да, именно. Так, проверка.
I've been in positions where they've got two dead in a team fight a few times early on, but they're not able to clutch the 1v1
Охренеть,
scenario.
работает
And that might seem
наконец.
like, okay, they're just losing the team fight. But then we've just seen what happens for a team like Gaming Gladiators, right? If they get that first win, they get that 3v3, all of a sudden you got extra loot. All of a sudden you go into your next fight looking a lot stronger. All of a sudden your confidence is there. The communication is there. And at the moment, Na'Vi just seem to be one step off of that at the moment. But if they can start to tighten up in those team fights, win that first team fight, then who knows what can happen for them, because they're part of the chasing pack at the moment and they need to start finding those results.
Yeah, we've been obviously highlighting Gaming Gladiators, but you know, another team that honestly could be in a similar category as Na'Vi. With that said, you know, they were in top 15 overall standings going into this competition, so certainly not in the same situation, but you haven't seen them dominate like they used to. When they were formerly CHMK, they won multiple events or championships or Pro League weeks. We saw consistency out of them week over week. We haven't seen that same consistency for the Na'Vi banner in quite some time. Can they turn it around? I like that highlight, and I like the diversity, the dichotomy between the two in Alliance and Na'Vi. But outside of those two, some squads, again, that you would have expected to perform maybe at a top 3 level is Kansas City Pioneers and Element 6. E6 goes off of the Lifeline off-meta pick. It was Lifeline Crypto. They're now back to, I think it's a default Seer, Horizon, and Valkyrie team composition. Gaskin, from what you've seen from them so far, and KCP, pick your litter here. Which one do you want to focus on, and which one do you think, or what do you think is not going so well for them?
I think if I look at Pioneers and how they've approached the games, it's more so the teams around them haven't been able to allow them to play the game they want. They've been rotating early, they've been getting central zone, the zone moves away from them a little bit, and then they try and move across slowly, but other teams that are just there, they're waiting, and they're constantly getting into...
Так его, по-моему, вообще официально перестали поддерживать, если не ошибаюсь.
There's just other teams in the priority areas that they would like to get to early.
Ну как за 2022? А как вы Google Chrome собираетесь устанавливать? Через что?
Those key risky fights, right? They're winning the early engagements, that's fine. They're getting into the later circles, but when it comes to crunch time, they're not winning those. We saw similar things happen a couple of weeks ago. They tweeted out saying, look, we've just not been playing well today. We've not been winning our fights. I think it's a little bit like that today, but that can very easily turn around on World's Edge, where perhaps things will go a little bit more their way.
Yeah, and I know Nasky's not always one to be one of excuses, but also some difficult zones for them. Obviously, Alliance has done well despite some difficult zones, and same thing with Ember and others. But they dropped Wall, and we've had 2 southern zones there in Storm Point, so we'll see how they can flip things around on World's Edge. But hey, obviously a lot to break down in terms of our pro teams. If you, any one of you watching right now, want a chance to be in the Pro League in Split 2, well, guess what? We got some action for you. You'll see close dates are right before the tournament. Compete to win and compete to participate in the Challenger Circuit. Most consistent teams throughout the entirety of the Challenger Circuit and overall points will find themselves in for the relegation qualifier as well. So keep that in mind. It's not just winning you're in, it's also consistency across the entire way. It's almost like a mini pro league in a lot of ways. You'll love to see the Challenger Circuit format and the fact that anyone can achieve that path to pro, much like we've seen some teams do so far in split number 1. But hey, we're gonna take a quick break. We're getting some things sorted and getting some things ready to jump back into game number 4 on World's Edge. We'll be back right after this.
Все работает? Или нет? Работает. Общую табличку, кстати, реально.
WD Black, the official storage partner of the Apex Legends Global Series. Welcome back, everybody, to ALGS Day 4 of the EMEA Pro League.
Нет, она все равно лагает. А что не так?
On Storm Point. So far, well, a different team has won every single game, which means our standings point win. Keep in mind, obviously, consistency throughout the entirety of the Pro League is what matters the most. Top 20 teams will qualify for the regional final, and the winner of that will automatically qualify for the Split 1 Playoffs LAN tournament, which is coming up in just a few months as well. I'm John Kev Lucas, also known as Fallout. Let's take a look once again at our map schedule and bring our casters in for the discussion as we get ready for game number 4. You had Alliance win game number 1. Ember win game number 2. The Gaiman Gladiators win game 3. So 2 out of the 3 games are won by the former Titans of EMEA, Alliance and Gaiman. This is certainly a day that looks like one of old in the European competition with Alliance and Gaiman on top. But does it feel good to be back? It's almost like orders restored here, Gaskin.
Yeah, I think that, you know, seeing Alliance and what they've been able to achieve, I think there was worrying signs when we saw Vibes leave because, you know, this roster has just been such a forefront of EMEA for Apex Legends for quite some time. So when that change happened, there was a lot of discussion. Who was going to be there? Who was going to be that new third? And Effect, I think he fits right in.
Yep, Effect in his debut has looked great. The amount of damage that he's able to do to open things up for his 2 teammates to kind of close out has been massive for the squad. The controller player from Russia relocated to Serbia to compete. Effect in his debut. But guess what? Game number 4 is here. Onset, Gaskin, take us through the action here on World's Edge for game number 4.
It would be our absolute pleasure and privilege to do so. And we are going over to World's Edge. Like you say, it's time for a little bit of a change of scenery here. And I've got a little, you know, we have these sayings that go around, Dan, right? That kind of become commonplace. And I think my favorite one to apply to that last game and what we saw from GG was form is temporary, but class is permanent.
Yeah, it is just kind of, you've got to look at what a team does and how they battle through the hard times, because it's all well and good being a squad who really struggles in early stages and then disbanding or trying different compositions or doing whatever you can. It's about sticking to your guns. It's about sticking to playing the game you think the game should be played, and I think that's exactly what we saw from Gaiman Gladiators. They just showed sheer amount of aggression in that game. They showed what they were made of. They bullied teams in every aspect of the game, and they found success. So I think that it's just picking up the pace a little bit in the right times for Gaiman Gladiators, and they should still be able to find success.
Короче, хотя ладно, вон насрать в принципе на это, как у меня все тут работает и не работает. Я нашел решение, ну не решение, нашел проблему. Как только на втором мониторе начинаю тыкать любое окошко из браузера, на основном мониторе видос начинает тормозить, лагать. Final скам пока мы. Ну, финалку и G303.
В этом доме на первом этаже.
2 Мозамбика.
Бля.
Похуй, Мозамбик тоже неплохо. Он по 40 ебашит. А я не помню, мы с этого хайграунда летаем, да?
Да.
Окей. На платформу полетим или
Ну, предпочтительно сюда. Если что, можно будет упасть в граунд и пойти в нижний кемп. Если вдруг что.
Если там, если там.
Не в кемп, а в туннель, короче, нижний.
Окей, короче, коль просто походу.
Их с тестовки просто на чеке? Да, там уже занято. Будка, по-моему, пришла от этого.
Платформа, никого не вижу.
Платформа. Можешь полететь отсюда. Погнали?
Давай, нажал. Да, упаду.
Тут фэнсы. А, не.
Я ничего не вижу.
Не пририсовалось просто. Просто красное было и все.
Канал на чек.
Зайджи могут быть огромные. Я пока чекаю, я никого не вижу, блядь, поблизости.
Мне кажется, я в нашем...
Нормально все видно
Можем
теперь?
покрафтиться,
Картинка, звук.
Ну я большой банк бы минимум покрафтил бы себе.
Поставлю ты большая.
Торчело,
Ну,
здорово.
туда мне больше похуй.
Не, мне кажется, хард может ее забрать.
А у тебя, Тайгер, что там?
Там в доме никто не сидел, блядь. Откуда мы пришли?
С
Чекать?
твоими девайсами, покупками.
ХГшку не
возьмите.
отдавать.
Го, по ган возьмите шпиль.
У меня нет, у меня нет.
У меня нету пока, у меня фултан его.
В гараже никого нет. Надо гараж застроить пол. Мы в нем стоять не будем, но его надо просто застроить.
Может шарик красота сейчас убьет, золотой будет.
Да, могу.
На пинге. Я спину подчекаю.
Оттуда выйти могут, я не вижу пока никого.
Надо фул, эту сторону фул надо писать.
Я смотрю его.
Шлем золотой
Всё
забрал.
вижу.
Все отлично.
Я бы пошел
Все клубнично, отлично.
покрафтил, чтобы у меня...
Кашера минус по скиллу. А, ну ни хрена, я там два склада.
Почекать.
Ща, я хочу себе армор
Давай,
поставить.
фасик. Да.
На мне никого нет. Слышишь, я думаю, может как-то...
Оценды
грамотно,
пока.
Если будет кто-то с гейзера идти в нашу сторону, я могу здесь просто с горы сыграть. Ну типа я сейчас залезу на
Опасно,
хуйню.
опасно. Кемпить опасно. Мне кажется, просто лучше запиздить чела.
Ну не прям кемпить. Так мы их запиздим, просто смотри, откуда я могу их избегать, с этой хуйни.
Ну просто могут в нас въебаться на этом, на
Заменишь Артур?
разметке.
Все, я пойду
Да,
бой
да.
закрошу.
Я пока не вижу, чтобы со стороны туда шел.
Я гараж пока не застраиваю. Ты хочешь что, чтобы я застроил? Типа, просто
Что?
правый
Просто
двери
строил,
только и
просто,
все?
просто внутри, чтобы застроил, чтобы они не могли внутри играть.
Тебе еще надо тоннел застроить. Зип.
Во, сейчас залезет.
Да. Бля, ну у меня тогда, у меня
Все,
только
я
два
тут стал,
фронтажа
я тут стал,
свободных.
Артур.
Я на ХГ стою. Возьми шпиль кто-нибудь. Не, тебе лучше, наверное, на шпиле ставить.
Давай, шпиль возьму.
Ебать, откуда мне там жарят. Из моста.
Хочу кросс-прогресс. Зачем?
На ХГшке никого не вижу.
Мне кажется, кросс-прогресс добавить только в том случае, когда игра будет подыхать.
Я могу еще одну зону
По
засканить.
мне с кем пожарят?
Какого? Дальнего?
Отсюда.
Это невыгодно.
Есть здесь спад, есть спад.
Не поджаться?
Не, просто стойте так, где как стоите. Артур может на гараж уйти.
Не, я не хочу отдавать тоннел. Мне кажется, надо прям близко их принимать.
У меня со шпиля очень мало спейса, меня чарджа ебет.
Ну и честно говоря, не хотелось бы даже кросс-платформы, не то что
Я
прогрессии.
думаю, да.
Да, может да.
Потому что мне не дают пикать.
Или хотя...
Рэд-кликом видишь кого-то? Близко.
Не, близко не.
А, они есть. Два фиола.
Хотя мало что-то изменится.
Регенюсь
Их
на
чержи жарят, по-моему. Подошел.
Не подыхает? Нет? Турики есть, сезоны выходят.
Спину отдали.
жестко. Я Фениксом. Могут ближе подойти,
Они, по-моему, это и делают.
В целом альтернативы как таковой нет.
Сир, Валька.
Единственное, что можешь противопоставить, это
да.
Warzone новая.
Я могу...
Super People возможно еще, но не точно.
Я живу.
Хорошо,
Я папа шпиль.
Если это на Super People не будут работать, тогда да.
Да.
На горе. Убить.
Не могу, я убегаю.
Под камнем, блядь. Иди бала.
Да. Не ебал снесли.
Дал стик ему туда за хуйню эту. Не докинул.
Не уходи жесткий.
Бля, да, там жестко.
Тейкни шпиль и ставь
нет
шире.
ФП пока.
А должна? Да, некоторые люди просто сразу говорят, что игра подыхает, когда видят, что актив падает. Хотя это естественно для любого.
Крипто, ошибается.
Любого проекта.
Прошел под шпиль.
Валька у меня кракнутая, практически. Крак, Валька.
У них чел все сейчас за маленьким камнем стоит.
Со временем, потому что тяжелее и тяжелее придумывать что-то новое.
Отменить рез и въебаться в них.
У него нет
спецмейтов.
Крипто 120. Одно!
Я большой ем. Лучше.
Челим.
До сих пор здесь. Чекай.
Да.
Вертикалка.
Я подхожу, возможно, отменю.
Я с тобой бегу, Хард, я с тобой.
Это сир ластовый.
Вообще не видно их, чё.
Не вижу, он походу съебался, тиммейты не решили.
Похуй. Го, добьем, разлутаем и все.
Добивайте, я пока все чекаю.
Ленчик лучший, блядь.
У нас в тоннеле есть, аккуратно.
Второй труп где-то под тобой, Артур, я пойду поищу.
Тоннель сквад. А где труп еще?
Подо мной я не вижу.
Вот тут накло. Вот тут. Мэйпи упал в тоннел. Ты не видишь его?
Просто интересовали достижения в игры, потом уже не интересно становится, когда второй раз получаешь одинаковые предметы. Видишь, каждому свое. Ты ради каких-то ачивок, кто-то ради игры, ради геймплея.
А где еще труп? Он скатывался вниз. Где-то у шарика.
Но если ты интерес потерял, это не означает, что игра скатывается.
На самом деле.
Найти бы его, блядь.
Ага, я не помню.
Лень, чекай спину,
золотой.
Чекай спину. О, я забрал. Или ты хочешь? Ты хочешь? Бери, я скинул. У меня
не. У меня бинго, нахуя мне это?
Янс, Нави.
Так сказал, типа, я думал, что ты хочешь.
Да, забей. Короче, Лень, текни шпиль, Артур, подойди ко мне.
У меня инвентарь пустоватый, я подлутал.
Зону ждать будем опять.
У меня маленьких 4.
Я потрошку. Члены, блядь,
чё?
2-4 по банку.
Geçti biri daha. Take here.
Бери патроны, забери. Хочу банку сейчас спросить.
Сейчас.
Ладно,
Дай мне такое. У меня 6 больших банок.
Любимые герои в Гловере?
Я бы взял 2, у меня 2 кости.
Не один, там
Давай,
много. Заряд, Трейсер, Гензи.
Бля, у меня, если честно, FPS прям 0.
Солдат, Макри.
Я шпиль возьму, у нас облизало.
Да, мы в лоуграунде будем.
Мне кажется, надо фулл закрывать.
Деньята.
Я постою.
Стойте, я со шпиля смотрю вам спину, парня. Ну вот этого всю хуйню.
Надо кэмп смотреть, чтобы кэмп не под нас не пошел, а пошел в будку ебаную.
Да, я смотрю.
Надо заканчивать с говна не надо.
Челы вальканули, смотрите. Вот с этой стороны. Могут под вас упасть кого-нибудь.
У меня либо трейлов нету, либо они вообще не летят.
Они вот.
Вижу.
Очень далеко пас были.
Ватсон с фиолкой.
Пали между камнями. Ебать, я хочу сейчас разъебать кого-то.
Давай, имя старый.
Они съебались там фиксы.
А какая-то зона? Вторая
Там, там скрипта чела.
Могут за зоны могут обойти, мужики. Байте дипку, блядь, мразь.
Белые скрипты прилетели, между камнями стали.
Если ебучку снесу, нет, у меня там дычка очень хорошая будет. Больная. Возможно, мы в танал потом сможем забить мужики, мне кажется, есть вот такой варик.
А он нам нахуй не нужен. Ну типа мы сверху еще.
На ХГ крипто резнул. Это не тот схват, который мы говорили крипто.
Так я хочу. Ну там Ватсон точно есть, но дрон не.
Будет бандл новогодний. Будет скидка на остальные. Скидка только на то, что у тебя уже есть.
На дороге файт, на дороге файт.
Когда ты меньше за бандл платишь.
Это кто?
Я упал со шпиля,
это рампарт синим армором снизу. Да, шпиль не в зоне.
Либо я тебя как-то не понял. Если с коллекционного ивента,
Если сможешь, фраги
Бока,
подсоси.
бока. Да, подсасываю там всё.
то о какой скидке вообще речь идет?
У тебя сейф там на горе.
Я слева никого не вижу, да,
Смотри,
как будто...
Ну, в целом, ты меньше, например, заплатишь, чем покупать.
Там меня справа пикал парень, что за хуйня? А, это с дома, блядь.
Тут? Я пойду проверю.
Контейнеры.
Дорога не запушилась, да? Это заебись.
Тут никого, тут застройка.
Не отсюда ее разъебали. Вот тут проверь за камнем. Зона чек, секунда.
Так что, Нек, не понимаю, о какой скидке речь идет.
100% парни, потому что вальканулся в спину все.
Так, ну у гамбитов все нормально, ротироваться надо.
Ulti attı Horizon Q'da ulti attı.
Sakin sakin. Bekle. Diğer skor. Tamam bekle loot'a gelecek aynı anda kırarız. Kır dedim mi kır tamam.
Buraya gel abi direkt.
Drone'um открой.
İçeri girmez mi?
Görürsen söyle.
Açarsa kapıyı direkt sıkacağım ben.
Drone'um открыть можешь.
Ulti attı.
Ya nasıl yiyorum? de var.
Neydi? Kırıldı. Kırıldı.
Arkamıza patladı.
Yedi. Arkamı yedi.
Yandan diyor. Safe kal.
Ben şurada safe'im.
Fizdir.
Ben şurada safe'im Alperen.
Benim
Ben Berk abi alıyorum.
Arkadan
Geldim, bakıyorum.
Atabileceğim yer var mı?
Bakıyorum.
Batmasın met basacağım. 50 saniyemiz var
Bu
da.
takım duo bu arada. Nak yedi duo.
Met basıyorum. Beraber bakın abi.
Atacağımız yer var mı arkadan?
Yok bunları
Kırdı.
zıplamamız lazım.
Kaldırdı bu arada. Kaldırdı. Fullen önce. Fullen birlikte zıplarız.
Full. Yeah, ready?
Ben de fullüm.
Horizon'a bak. Horizon.
Red.
Diğerini atmıyorum.
Sol bende.
Geldim.
Ебать, дракониан ебет.
Alan geliyor ama alan geliyor. Vurman lazım.
Gel. No, sağdaki takım sıkıyor.
Armor'uma.
Sağdaki takım sıkıyor.
Пиздец, Альянс-то живы еще. Блять, Юки на одном хп выжил. Я в ахуе. Unlucky.
Bu çocuk solo kaldı.
Охуеть, они еще одного забрали. Один в один выжил. Юки один играет.
You can look for this corner or something.
Yeah.
Ah, that timing is insane.
Нас в заднюю дверь не запушат из хороших новостей. Из плохих новостей нам только в это уходить.
Хороших новостей у нас один ПТС. Ужас.
Блять, а тут нельзя стоять?
Да, упали челы с КГ двое.
Это пиздец, блядь.
Чё? Он стоит, смотрит, блядь.
Да, они стоят ловко. Ай, блядь. Зона хуйни.
This way, perhaps.
Дрон пытаться сломать. Дрона по нас подходит. Возможно, пушат.
Максона душит.
О, блядь.
И банку большую ем сразу.
Я смотрю.
Как же они хотят?
Одно, да, го-го-го-го-го.
Одно, не ног.
Одну, вас.
Ебать.
Ватсон вообще одно ей, блядь, 50, 160.
Я выпрыгнул в забор тоже.
Охуеть. Ватсон забором двоих минуснула, как минимум. То глядишь и троих. И чё это? Гамбиты топ-1 хотят меня взять? Я не понял.
У нас есть текстурки перед ебалом. Но застроиться я хуй знает, где у меня нету хэви, парня.
Я тут вас... Вот, два спада.
Яма, привет.
Ой, блядь, да. Нам надо...
Кто из наших? Гамбиты.
Катушку вправо ломаю.
Нави, Максон за пионеров.
Давай, давай.
Ну, я еще и за Краликс топлю.
Мне вернули к вам.
Катушку левым сломал. Левых просто вот покаем, В них сейчас въебутся, в них въебываются, в левых въебываются. У них нет катушек. У нас хороший спот, не обязательно.
Да, молик, все горят там нахуй.
Взорвал. И пизда будет. На крыше. 100 на крыше.
Еще 100 на крыше.
Я хилюсь.
Право нас смотрят.
Право не играет.
Ног вальки даю. Надо вот эти в этих въебываться, секьюрити топ-2.
Да.
Погнали. Они крак. Ног. Одно ног. Топ-2. Лучше, все.
Пока что все, ебем их еще.
Давай. Армора может поставить.
Тоже стики.
Я вам что даю? Что-то справа даю. В опане. Убить, долбоёб ошибается, слева.
Накупорили.
Ой.
Блять.
Нормально. Бля, если бы не нукнулся, меня второй склад пизданул.
Заебись,
Бля,
это максимум вообще по факту.
Не, хорошо, пацаны. Да.
Вообще очень грамотно. Они залутали 3 поинта. И топ-2 взяли. А так могли топ-2 и без поинтов. И еще 3 вот этих забрали бы. Ну, короче, отжали у первого места 3 поинта возможных. Это вполне такой хороший алын. 18. А так у них могло быть 15 поинтов, а у IG 23. Опа, первое место. Еще 2 игры, правда.
I think they'll be so relieved to actually get that victory under their belt now. Because we
Краликс
talk about
чуть не идет.
confidence, I think that's going to do them wonders in believing that their positioning is the right thing and their fights are working for them. But you're right, it was about that engagement on edge. And when they moved in, I think they were very surprised no one was in that other train car because they were able to set up, wait for all those teams to collide on the southern side, and then it was just a matter of time. I think that everyone was struggling to get to that train cart throughout the game because so many people were kind of pitter-pattered around it and no one was able to really prioritize that spot. It was only the team who got into the southern train cart who actually were able to get an early position.
Инвениры тест юзает, что ли? Чел справа.
Because so many teams were trying to take them down.
Yeah, and I think GG in the scenario they found themselves in as well. We're probably thinking we've got to try and play for second place here and maybe try and clean up the fight as quickly as we can and give IG as good a fight as we can in those final moments because they were in the most open position, right? They saw their opportunity to pick up 3 KP and they thought this is the greatest situation we could ask for because not only do we get those KP, but also we get that boost in those placement points as well. So GG, after a game where they won previously, now get that second place down. It is almost like the Undertaker has sat back up in his casket and he's saying, whoever's in front of me, it's time to go to WrestleMania.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to face against GG in any fight right now with how they're playing and how aggressive they're being. It almost seems like they are happy taking risks that usually they wouldn't be taking in the last couple of weeks because they've just been kind of scared of their ability or maybe not trusting their ability in fights, but it certainly seems to have changed up after that victory and again goes back to that confidence factor. But a great game on World's Edge once more, a very difficult circle for some of those to play who were having to traverse so much of the map, and we saw a lot of rats staying alive trying to get desperate placement points, but in the end it was rat on rat action that we had to kill off the final remaining solo players.
And this was such an interesting way to start the day as well on World's Edge. I mean, what was this fight all about? One player manages to get alive, manages to get a res, and then comes back in. They were on the back foot, but managed to turn that fight on its head. But the team is seeing on your screen right now, Dan, Element 6, something isn't going right for them today. They're looking a little bit kind of disjointed in a lot of their fights.
Yeah, it's just one of those fights that just didn't really go too well for them. As you say, maybe communication being a little bit off here or there, but these things can change as you go on through the day. Sometimes these fights can work themselves out a little bit better, and all it takes is just a hard sit-down hard call from your IGL to say, this is what we're doing wrong, this is what we need to change. As Alliance, they fought tooth and nail to stay alive in this fight, by the way. Yuki was against the world and succeeding. It wasn't until he walked up and unfortunately had to face another rat, unknowns to him. That's when he unfortunately fell.
Yuki diff. I'm just going to say that, by the way. I mean, those car shots on MNK, not easy to do sometimes, and he was not missing. But as you say, just caught off guard a little bit. I would say Na'Vi, a much improved performance from them, getting into, I believe it was top 6 or 7 for placements, but these are the final moments of the game you're going to see. 4 squads remaining. The full send comes in from Forge to try and take the high ground. The only problem for them was the damage that came from Invictus with those grenades towards the end of it.
And the Gaming Gladiators, once they had been able to find themselves in the center of this truck, it was just a matter of time before IG were able to close it out. It was the way IG pushed, by the way. They just kind of spread it out, made sure everyone was watching every angle, and they were just coming so successfully. And even though the Gaming Gladiators only lost out by 2 points, it does show the importance of just trying to get those extra placements, because IG lead the way with 20. The biggest standout on that page for me as well is Vex Gaming, once more showing they are a force when it comes to fighting on set. They have 9 kill points in that game.
Yeah, they do indeed. A lot of kills going their way, as we would expect. I will say Na'Vi, good placements, but no KP to go alongside it. So that's why they only come out of that game with 3 points overall. Alliance, 6 points overall, and you can see the difference, right? You pick up a couple of KP. We saw Yuki adding those 2 points to the board for them in those 2 individual fights that he managed to win. Ends up with them on 6, but Ascend, they've started to quiet down a little bit. Same can be said for Element 6. Both teams we've got to keep our eyes on going into games 5 and 6.
Yeah, 5 and 6 is where people are going to have to pick things up now. As we look at the overall series results from today, Gaming Gladiators will now take the lead, and they are going to be sitting pretty on 55 points with an 8-point lead over IG as well, as Alliance now fall from their top spot just in that one game. But still very closely contested between the top 3 teams, and then as it goes further down, teams starting to trickle off a little bit, and they're going to be the ones that are going to need that mammoth game if they're going to get back into things.
We're going to have to find out if they can have that mammoth game in game number 5 when we get back after this break, after Invictus Gaming take home the previous game with that big win. But at the top of the leaderboards, of course, is Gaming Gladiators. Will we stay there? We'll see in a bit.
Плей-оффу на лане будут, да.
WD Black is the official storage partner of the Apex Legends Global Series.
Everybody wants more to the ALGS. The EMEA region certainly looking extremely hot today with 4 different winners across 4 different games. And
She was still playing.
We only find ourselves with 2 games remaining, but we are seeing the resurrection. Phoenix rising. Gaming Gladiators, they sit at the top of the leaderboards. They're back down, and I couldn't be happier about it.
They are on cloud9. They are absolutely demolishing anyone that walks in their warpath right now. So if you're a team that lands near them and you know their rotations, I would be kind of tempted to avoid them. You don't want to take this team on in a 3v3 at the moment. I think I've said it before and I'll say it again. They have been bullying other teams with their approach to playing this game, and it's so difficult to try and navigate your way through the map when teams are playing that way. Think back to how Furia played at the World Championships, right? This is a similar kind of feeling I'm getting from GG right now as they drop Lava Siphon and they are going to be having all the goodies they could have possibly asked for.
Yeah, I was going to say, when the sun's shining, you got to make haste, right? And that's exactly what's happening right now. They get the priority loot as well, right over their POI, which already has some wonderful goodies to play with. So keep your eyes on GG. The only thing that's really going to be able to stop them at this point, maybe, is a little bit of overconfidence. But look at where that zone's going down. Very similar to what we saw, maybe ever so.
На эпицентр, сурвей пойдет куда-то.
Не, эту я прячу нахуй куда-нибудь, чтобы никто вообще ее не забрал.
Ева нужна. Блять, еще филка.
It's always interesting to see, to be honest with you. We'll have to check out.
Я думаю, бэкпак может сейчас... А, нельзя. Что у меня слотов мало. Под всякое. Что мне нужно.
Стату? Да не знаю. Где-то, может, у кого-то есть.
И скинуть репитер.
Чувак, ты прав. Что-то возьми гений. У меня была дилемма, какой ган брать. Парни, я вам болт фиолетовый дропнул на крафт.
Я
заберу. А ты скинешь какой-то? Окей, окей.
Он не дропнулся, блядь.
А я думаю, где он, блядь? Я мобилку скачу, наверное. Вроде пока никого нет.
А барелька была? Нет.
Была на я
барелька не видел.
Я замостил.
Давай.
А иксовка, там x2, x3.
У меня x2 на вингмане, я могу тебе дать?
Могу тебе точку дать?
У меня есть точка, есть точка.
Окей.
Так, мне надо его поставить.
Давай, давай. Я
У
могу
меня
тебе поставить.
2 феникса, 4-8 по банкам.
У меня 4-10.
1.16 у меня.
Можешь башу здесь ставить, я здесь скрафчу большую.
Дайте тебе маленький дроп.
А, у меня мидки тоже нет, я скрафчу мидки.
Думал, ты там играешь? Не, пролига. Куда мне?
Аккуратно начало могут ротариться уже.
Да, да, могут.
Я в этой банке, да?
Предлагающий же звук вроде или... Сейчас посмотрим.
Я, конечно, жесткий, но не настолько.
Да.
Можем на Харвестере засканить, либо на... Ну, фрагмент может быть забит.
На оверлук можем пойти вообще спокойно.
Так что я сыграл.
Из того
Давай.
дальше края поиграть.
Давай.
Сейчас. Скипер забрал, погнали.
Помните, да, челы очень поздно вышли из станова, скорее всего, они тоже крафтятся на гейзере. Надо будет их ждать.
А, да.
И скорее всего, точно, у них у всех хенвиллы были.
Откуда они с гейзера, думаете, вышли?
Да, они вышли
с станова, да, вышли.
А на гейзере
крафтятся
у них были 3 хенвилла.
ДТшка. И такая.
Но у меня Ева есть. Окей.
Extended heavy mag here. Level 3.
Хорошо играешь. Хорошо, недостаточно для пролиги.
На гейзере ты имеешь в виду?
Ой, да.
Только знаете что? Шоколадок 0.
Это плохо. На го вальканемся? Вообще можно было на самом деле трибина еще залутать.
Блять, что тут нафига не вроде.
На не зону чекать летят?
И на этом, по-моему, нету.
Тут, кстати, не лут начали, они выходили сюда. Смотрите.
А не хочешь засканить эти?
Я иду.
Окей.
Я вот думаю, минуту ждать или сразу скан нажать?
Малям. А заскань может сейчас? Типа, если еще просто хгшку тыкнем.
Да.
Следующую.
Окей.
Все дерутся, как будто бы...
Да.
А, вот такая вот зона, блядь, ебучая.
Поэтому
так. Тогда давайте, знаете, как сделаем? Пошли сюрвей кемп. Через климатайзер.
Можно на климатайзере даблскан нажать по таймингу.
И какая зона? Я понял, что она ебучая, но какая?
Либо вообще, не знаю, сюда, блядь.
I say we go there.
А, или может вообще наставить сюда.
Ладно, ждем минуту, чекаем. Не, ползер. Ребят, я не играю как про.
на арморе себе покрафтим, не?
Да, можно, можно.
Я максимум вон про Реал, про лигу играю.
Если мы все один армор поставим и скрафтим как раз.
Где миксы?
Поэтому всякую утилити хуйню можно поставить. Ресалки, банки
А
большие.
сколько у меня есть уже? Ну, больших банок я, к сожалению, не могу себе поставить, потому что у меня синий бэкпак.
Стоп, а сколько один
У тебя
крафт
вообще
дает?
белый.
А, даже белый, да.
25.
150, по-моему, дает. Стоит, по-моему, по 40.
Не, я про то, что столько добавляет next time.
150, по-моему.
Окей.
Он, по-моему, даже 50 стоит. Да, 50. Я поставлю все. Чем меньше бить, чем лучше. Блин, заскань я не могу, наверное.
Да, окей. Мой мидхит на пол вдруг.
Начекайте, ну типа, чтобы никто не подошел спонтанно, типа вот дом вот этот.
Кто это, только захилить?
Катались никто не пикал. Ее тут нет. На патчноуте 14 сезона игры.
Можно скайхук играть.
О, да, кстати. Ну вообще, ну, встанул бы.
Я бы как будто бы крутил скайхук, вот реально.
Я бы как будто бы вот так вот встанул. Что думаешь?
Бля, скайхук, просто там все сквады запиздятся.
Ну нам бы подсосать это все.
Мы все равно супер
Бля,
поздно играем.
слушайте, да-да-да. Катка, мне кажется, типа, все равно у нас хуйня. Просто можно на фраге и реально скайхук зачистить нахуй и все, блядь.
Ну ты еще не знаешь. Хуйня, не хуйня.
Ой, сори.
У нас просто зона такая.
Как ты прифайрнул, блядь, мне кажется.
Мне еще интересно, до конца все игры будут на сыром патче или все-таки потом
Да не, мы просто скайхук выходим.
Короче,
добавят.
Гогур вапнемся на тебя, Костик.
Да,
Не, ну Лани она точно будет.
Варик это даже вот как-то зоны подойти в этот дом, кстати, кэшку, блядь.
И, возможно,
там либо поймать файт и...
новая легенда 16 сезона.
Кстати, да, отсюда щелы должны будут.
Клиент? Ну, у них отдельный клиент вообще для турниров.
Нам это надо делать быстро, это все.
У них отдельные сервера и отдельный клиент.
Смотри, отсюда щелы будут моваться на next, на зеленую. И, скорее всего, зафайтиться с дома. Мы можем просто сыграть отсюда, типа, и подсосать это.
Пока по стану бежим. Если не получается, уходим в сурвей. Вот чем валькуемся и куда-нибудь, не знаю.
Ну лучше,
Я
если
хочу
получается через этот чок, можно с как убежать.
пин глянуть.
Но не уверен. Maybe там
80.
на краю,
кстати, с этого чока...
53, 36. На обычном клиенте играешь.
Но главное сейчас спину дать челам, они по идее нас...
Ой-ой-ой. Брали с кубетки, чилит опять.
Слышу, со скаута стреляют, моби станула.
А, кстати,
Там-
карту
там
гляну.
скауты чижа, мы должны таких ебать. Да по левой, чтобы нас не видели.
А, нихуя себе зона шифтанула. Но она где-то здесь заканчивается. Краликсу тяжело будет, в него будут въебываться.
Они под мостом оба играют?
Не-не, не подожди, хуйне походу играет. Первый дом никого нет. Нет, подожди. Вот обмечаю с вами. Ушел вроде. Можно пройти, наверное. Возможно,
Соников как будто бы дохуя. Чел перебегает в передний дом на кафетерий, первый этаж.
Да, это, по-моему, есть.
Когда что интересно Сира понерфит? Чтобы, знаете, вот сейчас он сканет на ПКМ. Чтобы перезарядка была, как у джетпака Валькирии. Это просто гениальный нерв.
Давай.
Гениальный и правильный.
Там стакнул, надо. Слайд тоже домой стакнул.
Значит, надо пытаться убивать дом этот.
Уйти за зону.
Да, да. Можем отсюда валькануться. Играем?
Куда хочешь
Да-да-да.
полететь?
На метку мою желтую примерно.
За камень, типа, туда.
Подожди, они очень
Или
широко стоят.
на метку. Можно на метку?
Это один склад, они очень широко стоят. Го крышу можно забить.
Вот у чела.
Го.
Крышу. Все нормально? Я хилюсь. Феникс 7, Феникс 7.
Одно хп, одно хп.
Дрон, снимай дрон, вот это.
Помал.
У челов внутри
Захились
харда.
арти.
Рапарты валька, по-моему.
Это бомжи, это бомжи. Мне кажется, можно их вайпать нахуй.
Нет, я взрыва.
Захилься, хорошо.
Большой ем. На каверте.
Дикий, да. Ща, пусть нды дают, не торопимся вообще. Начало напротив,
народного.
или чё? Просто дракон сейв. Я смотрю под
Я пока наверх залезу.
Вообще никак
Давай,
не
мне надо сверху стоять, а вы драконьте, потому что, Лень, ты можешь быстро залезть наверх.
Окей.
А там есть
Суперглайд, ну, бинды.
А вот тут есть склад.
Суперглайд без биндов делается.
С кастом.
Начекай.
Помой, здорово.
Можешь начекать
Сейчас
сейчас?
сейв, у меня full сейв.
Ну там вроде бы здесь никого нет.
Сломает
Танцы
ульту,
стоят,
сломал.
но я никого не вижу.
Да, там никого нет сейчас. Вот именно сейчас.
Бля, как будто бы, знаете, шифтануть
Туда
за
норм
камень
идея
надо.
шифтануть. Сейчас норм. Один
У меня
склад,
банк
поможи.
0,9 по банкам.
Кинул 2, скинул 2.
Спасибо, мужики.
Вот тут сквад. Шоколадок нету, ульты нету, 50.
90.
Ну опасно, опасно, потому что сквад смотрит.
Бля, жаль, соточку не дал.
Маленький ем. Пока, мы сейчас...
Перебегай сквад на наш спот, перебегай сквад на наш спот. Хочет их. Дал бэйм по
Ой-ой,
50.
парня бежит по кайпу. Проебался немного.
Вот сюда бегут челы. Бля, тейкает наш спот, наверное.
Окей, го откроет тут играть.
Вот здесь.
Трак на одном высаде.
Слышишь, мне кажется, могу с другой стороны распекать.
Там чел один в гараже, синий армор. Я смотрю, чтоб он не ушел. Я его чекаю. 150. Нок.
Хорош.
Не торопитесь, меня кракнули, у нас есть отмена реса. Я большой ем.
Большой ем тоже.
Я доел его нахуй.
С вами.
Тут пулемет.
Не торопитесь. Посмотрите другой склад, Я все ганы перезаряжаю.
Тоже, я смотрю другой склад. Он близко довольно.
Моя ульта.
Внутри двойка. Зону чек.
Я стекло ломаю, посмотрите. Одного распокали у них.
Ладно, Ванька. Я смотрю другой склад.
Веду.
Я сапнул.
Вообще не подходит.
Отлично.
Они ушли со спота, парни, они ушли со спота.
Очень много маленьких банок, да? Пока все защите.
Можно подойти в спину их разъебать нахуй.
Я маленький.
Они дерутся, они, по-моему, дерутся с кем-то, да?
Да, го подойдем.
Санька нокнули.
Я резко.
Сдали? 57.
Хаешку дал.
Блять. Крака то?
Опыт
Нокнулся от зоны. 2-2.
Ждешь?
Да.
Банк крем, на окне, аккуратно.
И по ним здесь станово стреляли.
Резко.
Бля, контролят, не дают доесть. Я не знаю, кого я нокнул, ЛЛ или нет. Но надо их разъебать. Вот тут нокнутые у меня за стенкой.
Го выскочим и на кушку за ними, Сань.
Давай. Да, с вашей стороны?
Да, я лечу уже.
А, он нокнул, он его резал.
Да.
Я кьюшку дал свою в руку.
Давай, на крыше один был.
Убегает. Флэш!
Одного флэш, да, 40 дал. Бля,
Под нами
стоял.
Не понимаю.
Кто-то под нами спрятался.
Под нами есть, да.
12 секунд.
Пацан, крак почти?
Да, старайтесь отковаться.
Летает,
Чел, блядь, хакер. Дал ему 40.
Надо вальковаться. Блять.
Не можем меня слушать. Шарай на одну.
ЛЛ одно, ЛЛ вообще одно, 10 хп.
Один в один. Лезь.
Это не прет.
That's crazy.
I'm coming back, I'm going all the way back, I think.
Just use me. No, just use me.
Come to me, effect. I'm shooting.
You have to use me there, you and create space for effect.
Живу. У нас Соник справа, Сир, можем убить его.
Вон Краликс наваливает, нормально.
Топ-7. Вот тут. Да,
Да,
до сих пор
ща,
сидит.
ем шоколадку. Не спеши, закись на фул. Ща разъебем бомжей.
Мне кажется, его стануло разъебут.
Бля, как мы? Мы не пройдем.
Да,
Нас
парни, вас
челы
хуй
сверху
выебет.
разъебут.
Просто фуллером.
А у них особоресов нет, да?
Info ver, info ver.
Bunun arkasında biri değil, kitle bunun üstünde.
Aynen. Bir arkası Volker'in, biri yukarıda.
Tamam.
Альянсов закрыли.
Bir şey geçmiş. Bir
Biz
arkasında
fightlamadığımız sürece... Okey, onlar safe orada, onlar safe.
Okey.
Bir kere bize oynamalar. Durduk yere bize oynamaması lazım. Ben bir loot'a bakacağım hızlıca. Hızlı.
Tamam bak. Jin istiyor musun?
BX,
Bak abi.
посмотри видос
Bak,
рекрента.
At yoksa cenimiz at. Ha şey.
Cenimiz var da, evet.
Beklet.
Tamam.
Нет, Кира.
Orada adam mı var lan?
Ну, для облегчения, да. Но есть люди, которые без
3 eksik var kanka.
İzliyorum.
говна абуза делают. Умеют
Burası
делать.
koşacak.
Aynen.
Sadece orası koşacak.
Японцев
Burası,
нет.
evet burayı izliyorum.
Так это имя в другом регионе есть.
Kanka. Tamam.
Hepsi koşacak.
Когда финалы будут играть, ну, может и будут. Кто пройдет,
Ya nasıl kırıyorsun
кто
amına
пройдет.
koyayım?
Al bir
Mavi yiyor lan Volker'i. Volker'i mavi yiyor.
Dinle, bura. Fokus, arkayı siktir et ama arkaya gösterme.
Göstermiyorum ki ya, göremez. Geliyor bak.
50 60.
60
Şurada
Volks'un.
oynayacağım.
Direkt Volks'un etine.
Nak. Sakin. Chill, arkayı unutma.
54.
Bakıyorum arkaya bakıyorum.
Direkt.
One çocuk. One.
Крипто.
Кардеки убивают.
Gelmiyor ama gelmiyor.
Гамбиты пятые.
Nak.
Sarmasın.
Burada.
Önümde. Geldi. İçeri gir. Çok yakın. Verdim ya MP. Çok yakınlar bak.
Arkattım. Yiyecek arkama.
Attım.
Yemedi.
Arkaya dikkat.
Bak pushlayacak.
Ne de attım ben de attım. Yedi. Orayı
Arka.
Sadık köşede kal.
köşede kal. Bende kal.
Açtım. Anasını sikeyim. Açtım ben de açtım.
Aç kal öyle.
Tamam
Nak
bak
yedi
diyor,
be.
bitirecek.
Kal öyle.
Seni deniyor. Niye bizi deniyorsun? Orospu'nun çocuğu. Niye bizi deniyorsun?
Nice. Yapacak bir şey yok. 3-6 güzel abi. Elinize sağlık.
Блин, жаль, что не топ-2. Хотя бы.
O Horizon ultisi çok kötü bozdu ya. Keşke
Комплит. Что какое? 13 только поднялись. Маловато. 15 поинтов. 11 поинтов. Да, так бы в топ-10 где-то плюс-минус могли бы быть. Ну чё? Гамбитом в топ-10 надо попасть, задушить альянсов, IG. Тогда топ-1 дня будет.
In that one, they've been playing consistently well at getting a few kills a game on set. And Corporate looking solid, and they needed it as they are currently, I think, in 30th or 29th or 28th in the overall standings.
Yeah, I mean, those kind of games, I keep saying, like, confidence is such a big thing in Apex Legends, right? And it sounds like a really stupid thing to say, because, like, surely all these teams are confident, surely they all know their ability, but when you're in a lobby which has got so much talent, a team fight win feels like like a huge moment for you, because you know you've just had to, you know, really fight tooth and nail to beat some of the best in the world, and that confidence flows through you in the next fight. The decision making becomes a little bit more, okay, that decision was correct, therefore I back myself and I trust myself to make the right one the next time. The IGL starts to believe he's making the right calls, and you have this snowball effect that you're just seeing on display there. You win a couple of fights in the end game, and I think the big one was that third party that they created onto Vexed and Alliance, because it looked like those were the two teams who were in the greatest position to maybe close that game out, but sensing that opportunity to take that position away is what Apex Legends is all about.
Yep, completely agreed. You've seen the Game of Drones, who haven't necessarily had the same amount of late game success, and a couple other teams that felt a little bit early gas. Can walk us through the highlights here in game number 5.
Yeah, it was very rough for those teams who were in the southeast side of the map, as it has been all season, as the zones very often move more west, and they are constantly having to traverse a lot of land to get there. But it does mean that teams are knowing that it's going to be a difficult placement game, but Corpa, they moved quite some way as well to be able to slowly but surely make their way through a lot of teams as well. To be completely honest, they were able to find a lot of success in their engagements. They were picking their fights at the right times. Gaimin Gladiators had another impressive game. They carried on with their aggression. They carried on being relentless with their pushes, but unfortunately in the end the zone got too quick for them. They weren't able to stabilize, they weren't able to get into that next zone, and because of it they did eventually fall.
Yeah, I believe they wrapped up in around 5th place. They were, of course, in 1st place going into that game, ahead of IG. They had 55 points. IG had 47, Alliance 46. So it is neck and neck between our three kind of top titans, top tier teams you would have thought would perform. Well, guess what? They are performing here. Here's the 5th place exit for Gaimin, and in the end, it was Trix, Clutch from the UK, and Zerifer from Slovakia who were able to do it. Zerifer's been here before. He's been competing in the Pro League in ALGS for quite some time. But Trix and Clutch, well, guess what? They're new to the Pro League, new to the ALGS, and guess what? They're on top with a 14-kill game. Are you kidding me? Corpa goes huge. Trix, the lone Hungarian, playing and representing all in this competition, and they're looking great. Bitfix and Turkish Stars right behind them. So it's a lot of our Challenger Circuit or qualifier teams on set that perform here in game number 5.
14 skillов.
It's the teams that needed to do so as well, and it makes it very interesting as we head into our final game when you have those teams who have kind of been lurking around the bottom half of these leaderboards coming into this game, that all of a sudden pick up points. It means the teams at the top aren't picking up points, and it means everything is going to look a lot closer. And when you only have one game remaining, it makes things very exciting for sure. At the other end of it, though, you're looking at Pioneers, no points. Ascend, just the 2 points from KP, no placement points. And all of a sudden, you got to start thinking, like we mentioned, we're getting over the halfway point today in game days, and there's not a lot. Apex Legends all of a sudden, not as much as we certainly thought we were. We got to start picking up. One game would be huge.
That's right. Do or die. Let's take a look at the overall standings, and it's Gaimin on top by 15 points. Ladies and gentlemen, I tweeted it out, but I'll say it again. Gaimin Gladiators are back, restored into their old form, what we're used to seeing from these three. Can they do it consistently, though, in future Pro League weeks? And can they finish? They need a first place win is needed for them. 25 points. They're currently not going to qualify for the Split 1 finals, regional finals, that is, at their current rate. They're in, I think, 28th or 27th place overall, so huge game from them. Alliance right behind them. IG 48 points in 4th place. There you see is neck and neck as well for our top teams in the standings, and this is setting us up, Gaskin, for one heck of a game number 6.
It is, especially today. We've seen a lot of teams having success, having to move quite a long way across the map.
Ну а где эпичная музыка? Как мне манекену убивать? Прыжок от стены. Прыжок на колесико ставь и все. Прыгаешь на стену, крутишь колесо. И отпрыгиваешь. В принципе, Перси играл.
Similar to what Gaming Gladiators have done. So it shows that if you can have success, if you can constantly win those 3v3 engagements, if you're picking your fights at the right times, you can still find victories, even if the zone is not necessarily one of the best zones for you.
Edge fighting is alive and well. It's not just early rotate and bunker out with Caustic and Watson. A variety of team comps and playstyles are working today, but guess what? Only one team will end up on top. Will be the Gaimin Gladiators holding on to their first place position. Will we see the likes of Alliance, Corpa, IG, or others bounce back and fight their way to first place in game number 6? We'll find out after this quick break. Don't go anywhere. Game 6 around the corner.
All-Star точность от бедра повысить. Будет лучший ган. Не получается? Тренируйся больше. Ты же когда прыгаешь, в другую сторону отпрыгиваешь. Вот в какую сторону отпрыгиваешь, в ту сторону и стрейф жми. Жмешь вперед. Ну, банально даже хотя бы вот от стены просто прыжок научись делать. На вебке даже видно, как я колесо кручу. На колесо прыгнул и еще раз прыгнул на колесо. Или можно на пробел. Пофиг, на что привыкнешь. Это самая легкая механика вообще. Ладно, пизжу, самая легкая это раз прыжка. Просто колесо крутишь и все.
Apex Legends Global Series Monster Energy, your official energy drink for the ALGS.
Welcome back, everybody. Today, LGS day number 4, as we have 5 games done and dusted, completed, setting ourselves up for an amazing game 6 around the corner to close things out on World's Edge on Fallout alongside Onset and Gaskin. And the big storyline going to game 6, gentlemen, I'm sure you both agree, can Gaiman bounce back from a really abysmal days 1 through 3 for the first place finish, or will Alliance in their debut with Effects take the first place spot? Either way, Dan, it's great to see the top 2 teams historically in EMEA back on top.
Excuse me. It is, yeah, it's good to see everyone getting back to the form that we once knew, the form that, you know, we know that these players are capable of. And when you see changes, as for Alliance, you always wonder, is there ever going to be that replication of success? The answer is yes. The answer is they found someone who fits in perfectly. For Gaming Gladiators, a slightly different story of we know that they've done this before, but unfortunately they just seem to have got into a real rut when it comes to their form. But now it seems like they are at their very best, and I'm sure they'll be looking to try and take this one home.
That's right. Can they do it is the question. It all comes down to this. Game number 6 as the dropship flies across World's Edge. Will Gaiman stay on top? Will Alliance win their debut? Let's find out. Let's jump right into the action. Game number 6, Onset. Gaskin, bring the energy, boys.
Oh, I can feel the one more game chance from Champstan all of a sudden kind of going through my head. I remember those moments, and that's where we find ourselves today. Unfortunately, not in the arenas that we were, but we're back online, and we have one more game left in front of us. Now, this is a massive game for a number of reasons. Like John outlined, we've got Ascend, who are struggling a little bit. They were kind of the team to look at last week. Can they have a big last game to catapult themselves up? You've got Alliance with a new pickup who are looking to maybe steal away that first place from the team who is on top and has returned to form. That is Gaming Gladiators. And look at that zone, Dan. You've been desperate for it. And all of a sudden, there you go, you get your wish.
Finally, we have a southeast zone. At one point, it was a 0% southeast zones across every single region in Apex Legends, but no, we've got one. It is going to be existing. Ember are going to be thanking their lucky stars, as well as Heroes, and of course, we're going to see several other squads that are kind of in the vicinity, and those who also have beacons to work with as well. Our previous winners are going to have the opportunity to have a short rotation here. Are they going to have as much success?
Как будто бы, знаете, типа будут пушить 100% с харзой. Надо к тебе подойдут.
Мне кажется, ластовая карта самое опасное место.
Пока что финалка все-таки удобнее всего.
Синьки не было лишней? Вижу синь. У Леня, да, вижу.
Я пару больших скрафчу себе, я готов.
Рекорд по дальней.
Одна большая.
Не знаю.
Пока я забираю все.
Я такой тренинг не занимаюсь.
Хватит, я погнал. Нельзя нам надавать этот спот.
Большую забираю, да? Потом пизды туда.
По ней можно гейзер тейк?
Да.
Я иду тейкать гейзер. что IG, по идее, не знают про...
Да, точно.
Я быстренько 2 пачки
А мы не хотим метку мою точно? Типа, будет...
Только начал играть, стараюсь липнуть.
Возьми.
А, ну если только начал, ничего страшного, быстро научишься.
Мы еще на платформе солтаем, где как нам спотрить.
Мув с ударом и разворотом на наклонной поверхности. Он уже не работает.
Да, ну надежно.
Панч-буст. Понерфили. Или пофиксили, даже сказать.
Дропчик слева можно забрать. Хотя нет,
а мы не
можно. Не заберем.
Справа. Летят, похуй на них. Шоколадку заберешь, Артур?
Несложно объяснить пошагово. Ну, я показал. Прыгаешь на стену, крутишь колесо.
2 маленьких скинул.
И все. Просто отпрыгиваешь от стены.
Пиздят челов. Вот здесь.
Мы не подсасываем.
Не, просто посмотри туда.
У меня дрон. Дрона вызвали, это хуйня. Сломайте? Иди с крышу.
Если увижу.
Лень, ты пока все смотришь, да?
Да, я просто 360 кручусь, даже не стреляю.
Он поднимается, походу. Не поднимается. Ну вообще, поднимается.
Я отпугнул.
Да, он ушел.
Прилетели все на дорогу.
Теперь в каждом складе, ну практически. У альянсов есть?
Eğer gidemezsek.
Olamam. ALGS без серы играет. Они из скрипта играют. Нави тоже есть.
Иду фэнси тану.
Валькуется. Пытаюсь все еще подвечить.
Покракал двоих. Окей, парни. Вот тут челы аккуратно. Больше никого не вижу рядом. Вот еще бежит сюда. Сваться на их отпугнул.
Тоннеля никого нет. Я тут полутаю немножко. Да, в тоннеле. Там внутри они, кстати, открыли комнату. Хэвики принесу тебе. Все.
Касочка, ням.
Сломали катушку.
Может вот сюда? Ты лгашь?
Скинул.
Я заберу хэви. Повтор не смотрю в свою сторону.
Хочу армор себе перенести на тот спот.
Лень, у тебя пауган есть? Хочешь дам триплу?
Ну, можешь.
Такой звук, будто... А, это у меня в игре, ё.
Бери. Только X3 потом, ну, вернешь? У меня 301 без КП. Ну, потом.
А мне нахуй не нужен спор.
Понял.
Все, пока не съебись.
1.5 по банкам, лайтов мало.
Так, а почему не full screen?
Две маленькие дропнул.
Слушай, я думаю, ты видел, можешь сгонять за ним, если еще не заняли там. А его не заняли.
Так, теперь нормально вроде, да?
Набрал. Да, ну,
Первый вальканорис.
Дрон прочекивал, я его сломал, возможно, они будут думать, что тут склад стоит.
Где онлайн раньше был.
Ебать,
И не я один такой, с топовым пониманием.
Тут 20 слоит, и, кстати, мне 2 балла дает.
Да я найду скину. А, надеюсь, успел.
И одной ногой на пенсии.
Та хуйня не занята, кстати.
Там были. Может они отвлеклись просто. Да.
Он даже не застроена, если честно.
Не, Лень, тут сломают тоже, мне кажется, с этой стороны.
Триплтейк интересное оружие. Артур, подойди и свичнись арморами с вами, пожалуйста. Да, это может быть зона под будку, но я что-то вот
не
сам
будем
будку вначале брать. Да, я бы стоял от нашего спота, у нас прям центр зоны, хуя не воюет.
Короче, гайс,
С камбэком няма.
катушку
Куда уходила?
Вы вернулись, посмотрите. Они сильно будут тебя до этого.
На скалу на крайка хотят.
Хилюсь.
Там за будкой стоит на горе. И там должно быть душно, по идее. Это, кстати, IG, по-моему.
Не понял, ну.
Здесь, Валька, посмотри. По опану. Сольник бежит вперед.
Я про Twitch вообще.
Хорош. Да, есть шанс?
Его другой спад доедает. Доели. Еще спадал крипто из этого спада.
На ютубе не знаю.
Это SEO сейф, что ли?
Крипто был минус 100 из этого спада.
Да, там, короче, у челов на будке неспокойно. Там спад их душит.
Они его резнут от этого типа. Но надеюсь, их...
Я еще попытался вспомнить, что я такого сказал. Не понял.
Может бенчики болтать по каверу?
Ну, Валькирия на онлайн больше, чем у меня.
Бежит крак. За это хуйня. Сладится вниз просто.
Тут лайты и хэвики есть.
Если можешь лайты.
Лайты могут принести.
Еще раз его кракнул.
Таннел будет сейчас зачекать, конечно.
Там, по идее, не могут подняться, застраивать. Артур, вот тут два стака. Я еще не хэвик.
Я то застроил, но не могу сломать. Там в доме прям жестко въебывается.
Хэвики лайты. Разберешь все? Сейчас свечи.
Ничего не думаю.
Точку нужна кому-то?
Не-не-не.
Ой. Так, зона Next не видна. Пока сведется, после этого глянем. Че по остальным ротациям? Это альянсы упали на будку. Судя по всему. Или не, это другая часть купола отмена.
Aynen. Trak var. Yok trak var. Arkaları var. Arkaları var.
Oğlum oralar full şu an. Oralar full.
Şeyleri düşün. Bir evin
Bak
arkasında.
drone'la bakıyor.
Drone'la.
Интересно, ган, типа... Может быть?
Играть будем сегодня? Не знаю, посмотрим.
60 и последний 60 в синий армор между ног находится. Тычка.
Что-то могут дропать.
Рефлекс на нем.
Нормально, мы... Ну это куда же он? Мы...
Как же ты таргиришься, когда люди едят рядом?
Нам главное наш возможно.
А сука, дайте 20 дэмэдж, чтобы блять. А, пойду город просто пёзну.
Хард, по-моему, чел из дома повел криптодрона в тоннел.
Он у тебя есть еще энерджи, Артур?
А я тебе 4 стака дропал. Больше нет.
Осталось 100. Ну ладно, все, типа я не покаюсь. Жду зоны.
Ну что, зону увидели. Давайте зеленую посмотрим. А, на купол. КСом. Гамбиты вроде могут еще играть. Они эту часть закрывать будут. О, к харду идут, кстати. Алекс идет. Хард уже встречает ротацию новую.
Ой, там очень жестко. Да, их прокалили в ноль.
Поняли, что я Соник бэкграунда. Я ушел.
Меня пизделка понятно.
Тоннел заняли. Со скриптом. Пытайся на все фармить, что
Засели.
можешь.
Засели супер красные должны.
Ряди на... Ой. Короче, на Butterfly чекни.
Прикольно, лова. Там он не пикает.
На next неделе должна. Не, триггера привычка. Ну это то же самое, триггер привычка. Точнее, триггер является привычкой.
Там сейчас дальше въебываются, найди сюда дают.
Я там смотрю.
Вверх их надо попиздить, это какой-то сквад придурков нахуй.
Платину апнул, ну да.
Там еще
Там есть
подсос, там еще
размен, там
подсос.
есть размен.
Но что-то долго апал ее, честно говоря.
Я могу подойти, Артур, почекай там.
Давай, давай, давай.
Дэниш, я же только что ответил.
Шарза на меня, да?
Уходим, дойти. Опасно, на другой склад.
Опасно, опасно, Алене поинты нужны. Голодный.
Все, я
Ой, какой.
Два нока там.
Челы пары у нас.
Убить надо. Надо быстрее убить, пока спина.
Какая-то
Horizon минус. Вексет минус.
Да.
Нави там что-то затесались.
Не на подсос файта пошли, да, по-моему? Я да.
С окна отпихает. Нокнули.
Я вниз упал.
Я тут тоже. У вас вот тут дрон. Я вниз не могу упасть, меня просто...
Рон нокнутый, но его пока не доедают. Время есть.
Надо мной челы.
Рукбич хилится до фула.
Я не знаю, резко такое.
Да, я играю вдвоем. Что там Нави делают? Гамбиты делают. Пока халдят свою позицию. Чекай в рук. Ултима. Ой, мастиф пал. Че, крыша, аккуратно. За козырек нельзя выходить.
Не, го внутрь, в хату, в ту перебежим.
Давай, я с тобой.
Дойдем и залутаем, да.
Давай, за тобой.
Давай. Они пробежали, 50 ватсон дал.
О, ебите!
No.
Подожди, это другой сквад нахуй бежал сюда.
Да, они просто за нами бежали.
Нет, меня просто...
Пиздец.
2 ватсон пихнуло.
Обидно. Очень обидно.
Ебать, ты еще живой как-то?
Ты живой, непонятно как. Хорош. Вот я также, кстати, стреляю, отпускаю иногда. Неважно, опустим. Но тут все равно было.
Я просто не понял, в кого ты хочешь, чтобы мы шифтанули.
Рукбич.
Verdim MP yaklaş kanka. Oynuyorum.
Alandan yeme, yürü.
Salmış yukarıyı. Neydi atıyorum iki tarafa.
One HP.
Арти минус. Иди в зону, просто в зону, блять!
Yok kanka.
Ya orospu çocukları ya.
Söylediğim gibi ya. Yerini korumak için bizi vurmayı deniyor.
Хотя они бы, наверное, топ-10 максимум заняли. А кто тут остались-то? Тоже минус. Альянсы, все минус. Смотрим мейн-трансляцию.
The chance to get first place this week with out and with Alliance falling, suddenly IG, it all opens up for them.
Рян подрубил, он в другой группе играет. На следующей неделе. Работа все портит.
Purely come through placement if they can get into the top 3 as Phoenix Legacy still alive. G Dolphin and the Rampart still doing damage. The way they've been able to still
Ну,
get in
деньги
this
с
zone is
воздуха не
insane.
возьмутся.
They had to
Надо.
fight off several teams, including Na'Vi, who they eventually took the fight with, traverse the land south, but now they've got to go that one step further. It seems like no matter how far they go across this map, this circle keeps pulling away from them.
I mentioned how Phoenix Legacy might have a little bit of luck go on their side with the way that that zone pulled. And they could kind of clean up the mess of everybody leaving Lava Sea towards Dom. This is eliciting now, though, with IG, because they are inside of one of the best buildings, but they've got to move in around 20 seconds' time. Let's see what the moves are.
Grace, I'm coming to you, Grace.
Yeah.
I got it, I got it.
Can I play height here?
We're gonna take control of roof late, okay? I don't have EMP, but I do have gold helm. It's top 5, guys. One.
Yeah,
2
you're
players
right.
dead. Yeah, it's one rat. You're right. It's every team is full.
Oh.
Are we sharing? Is there a team on the other side of this building? If not, we have a 3v3 against this team inside.
Yeah, there's a team inside.
Okay, we prioritize the roof. Prioritize the roof, I think.
Yeah.
Is the roof good?
I can't see him right now.
Donating here.
Yeah. The rat's still here on the left. Look at this rat. KP on the rat.
Are we
KP on the
going
rat.
or what? Are we going here?
On the roof. We're placing. We have to take roof.
I'm on the roof.
Rinse
Right
out
here
on
on
me.
me.
Yep. Fence this door when you can,
I'm
Grace.
buying.
Yeah, they might double kick this. Fence this door.
I fenced
Nice.
it, I fenced it. I placed a gen.
Yeah, I'm climbing up. Payback's on the roof. We're chilling for now.
EMP,
They're gonna send us.
maybe.
Yeah. I'm nading. I'm nading Sloan down.
I fenced.
I got one.
Hold.
Yeah, I hear you.
Come up.
I'm holding
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
Let me
come
know
up,
when I
come
can
up.
heal.
You can heal now. You can heal.
Yeah.
I have EMP. I want to.
Where's the other squad? Where's the other squad? Where is the other squad?
I
Where's
actually
the
don't know.
fourth squad?
Here. It's 2 teams out here. We take this 3v3, okay? You wanna go ready?
Wait, they're split, there's fuck.
You have 20 seconds. I'm gonna EMP them. Be ready. I'm EMP
Yes,
them
I'm
now.
ready.
I'm swinging with Jay.
Okay, I'm peeking inside.
One's in this room, Jay. I'm nading him. Push inside. Wait, swing inside. You ready?
Back,
3,
back,
2,
back.
1. Swing inside.
I'm batting, all you guys.
One dead.
Play your left cam. I'm here.
Nice,
Just
I'm
crypto.
batting.
I'm dead.
Cracked him. Give me shield.
Yeah.
He's dead,
Nice. Res Grace.
I'm resting, yeah, I just fenced first.
Res me. Nice. I have gold. I'm gonna res.
Yes, I have gold as well. You just armor swap.
Yeah, okay, I hear you. No, I'm gonna sell. We're fine.
Get me.
Yeah.
Well, back into the game. What a push that is coming in from IG, Dan. A massive decision, and they win the 3v3 inside the building.
And as I said, that takes them into second place, and now they've got to chase Gaming Gladiators. But Gaming Gladiators had kills in this game, so it is not going to be easy. They would need a victory plus these kills that you can see on your screen if they're going to have a chance for first place. So still all to do from IG, but what a listening that was. The intensity was there from the squad, screaming at each other, and I love the decision to take the straight 3v3.
Well, surely this is IG's game. You can see the Game of Drones and Phoenix Legacy, they're right next to each other. They're going to be damaging each other. They're going to cause all sorts of problems, and Phoenix Legacy know that they've got to take this fight, and that surely just opens the door here for IG. IMP is going to do a huge amount of damage, but so is the zone now. Phoenix Legacy causing all sorts of problems, but here comes Invictus, picking their moment to strike. Once again, it's the perfect moment. Invictus International close out the day's action with a huge win here on World's Edge.
It's a massive game. I'm not sure it's quite going to be enough to topple Gaming Gladiators at the top. I think they were off by about 2 or 3 kills, but still, that won't take away from what an incredible day it's been for IG. They have been in and around that final circle so many times, and for them to keep getting these victories, to keep having this success, they moved so early in that rotation, and they were just incredible in those final circles. I loved that 3v3 fight that we got to have a listen in. Just the swinging ability, the bait and switch, making sure they were minimizing their shield swaps as well. It was perfect.
Yeah, completely agreed. A lot to love from what you saw from IG in that end game, in that game number 6. My favorite part, though, hands down the entirety of the listen and what that truly said about this IG roster. You heard it. Noises as an IGL truly just showcased what makes him so great. His decisiveness, his ability to command the team, their ability to ask the right questions and co-IGL. You saw Graceful stepping up and making calls and showing that he can actually macro IGL while Noises is able to micro IGL. You saw it come through right there, and it worked out really, really well for them. Brilliant stuff from Invictus Invictus Gaming, Mark, as we look at the highlights.
Yeah, brilliant from them. It was just a few moments that really stood out. One was how quickly that they got into the position on that the very southern side of World's Edge from the start. Dan was comparing it to how quickly Gaming Gladiators got into their position, and it was like they were there before Gaming Gladiators had even left Lava Siphon. So you could see what the plan was early on, but in those end games, it's all about creating game-winning scenarios. When there's 4 teams alive, you know that you can't win that game unless you take a straight 3v3 and then let the other teams do the work for you. So it was the recognition of the situation, but then the execution as well, pushing off the back of the EMP, big damage and the double swing on the door. It was perfect, to be honest with you, from Invictus. Great communication, but not only that, following the orders to a T to make sure they got the win.
Yeah. Gotta completely agree with you. Great late game, great finish, and they had to get through some tough teams. Ascend, obviously bunkering up, and Ascend a team that runs.
Они вот этим пушем разбили их армора, которые были на свап.
Success, well played, and Ascend had shield swaps galore set up in that fight. Instead, IG says, "Let me take your shield swap real quick," and grabs it for themselves. I like this play from Impto in the late game. You gotta give some respect where respect is due. He actually places his second star just in front of the black hole and knows to push forward. So kudos to him. In the end, a 22-point game for IG. But take a look at Gaiman Gladiators. They grab 8, which should be enough to keep them in first. We'll take a look at the overall standings here. Phoenix Legacy also showing some live casking.
Yeah, big game from Game of Thrones. I think that will do them a world of good as we move forward in Pro League after some rough games to start with today. And Phoenix Legacy, again, they were down towards the bottom of that leaderboards, but they've showed that, you know, when they do get that good game, when they do have everything going their way, they can make sure they can force their way through to those zones without the information characters that Onset was bringing up. They didn't have that information. Necessarily is easy.
Завдяки на первом. Ну, 10 минут, в принципе, есть поправить все поинты. Так что можем верить. Империал свит есть? Ну, есть, только это Америка.
Pioneers, for example, haven't really been able to get rolling. They haven't looked like the Pioneers that we saw in week number 1.
That's right. Taking a look at the second page here overall, Kansas City Pioneers, disappointing game for them, and in the end,
Они ночью играют.
in 14th. But take a look at our top 3 by 3 points only, 3 kills, possibly rats that could have made the difference. Is going to be Gaiman over Invictus Gaming. Both of them look fantastic today. Gaiman needed that much more than IG did. IG was currently in 7th or 8th place going into today's competition, but Alliance in their debut with Effects, they also lost a game. Effects had a PC crash in game number 3, which you hate to see. Still, a 3rd place finish was 57 points. And then you take a look, Ember and Corpora in 4th and 5th is awesome in my eyes, Mark. 2 teams coming from Challenger Circuit and coming from Quals, performing with a top 5 finish as well.
Yeah, putting up a lot of KP alongside it as well. I think that was the most impressive thing for me, is how aggressive they were and how confident they were in their fighting ability when they did have the opportunity to push and do damage onto a team. So Ember and Corp are certainly team names to keep an eye on as we roll through the weeks. But I was really impressed with the top 3 teams that we have at the on the leaderboards. I mean, historically, these teams have been some of the best in EMEA, and there was different moments where you could see exactly why. But I just love the resurrection of Gaming Gladiators, right? I've been waiting weeks for this. We're like, where have these boys been? And all of a sudden, when it gets to the crunch time, it seems maybe it took them a few weeks to get around the meta, whatever it might have been. They return, they show that class that we expected from them.
That's right, and as a result, well, they break into the top 10 from 27th to 8th place in our overall regular season Pro League standings. Keep in mind, Group C, well, we got 6 teams, 5 teams on the second page, 1 on the first page. Shout out to Aurora. They have not played their 3rd day of competition yet, so they have currently are behind 1 game. But in the end, Alliance currently on top, Ascend in 2nd, Pioneers fall all the way down to 4th place. Take a look at the second page here. Again, you'll see mostly Group C
уже их получили,
in the bottom 10 teams that will get relegated because they haven't played yet. But the Turkish Stars, 3 Muppets, Echo Esports, and Corpa are at risk of being relegated in their current standings, so they got to step up here in these future Pro League series as we, if they want a chance to qualify for the regional finals that will wrap up Pro League Split 1 heading into the Split 1 playoffs. Let's take a look as well at our kill leaderboards, guys. Who performed today at an individual level to kill leaderboards here? Walk me through what you're seeing.
Well, I don't think that's too much of a surprise to see 2 members of Gaming Gladiators at the top after their sheer amount of aggression that they were putting down on every map that they faced. Yuki also a big amount of kills for Alliance. I think you've got to give a shout out to Unlucky.
Aurora.
Considering how Vex were playing and where they placed, the fact that he is still up there
amongst the big boys
is very impressive to how Vex were playing.
Но Гамбиты должны, Аврора тоже.
In the top 5, but those are 5 incredibly talented players. I am not particularly surprised that we see them residing there. And honestly, It could have been the other way around. It could have been HardDecky at the top. It could have been Leo.
Леоня, HardDecky. Первое-второе место по киллам делят Юки второе. Ой, Юки третий, Unlucky 14. А где Арти? Арти нет. Но эффект тоже засветился в топ-10.
Diamond Gladiators are certainly back. Alliance performed, Invictus performed. Of course, a lot of teams stepped up today, but this is my favorite part of the show. Time where we have a chance to talk through who performed as an individual. It's time to discuss your Monster MVP. All right, gentlemen. Mark, I want to start with you and get your thoughts here. Who performed? Who's your MVP on the day and why?
I have to go with HardDecky, and I know it's very easy for people to always go, oh, you're going with HardDecky because he's the player who's like a flashy player and all of this, but I just feel like there was just a change in the way that he played today, and it looked like the HardDecky of old. I want to give a shout out to his two teammates as well, because I think that they supported everything that he did, and they played equally as well. It's just very difficult to pick one name out of this Diamond Gladiators team, but the way that he was doing damage, previously we might have seen a little bit of start step from HardDecky. Second question himself, are we confident enough to take this fight? Today, that all changed in that game on Storm Point, where he just took over. I call it the HardDecky shuffle. That's when he gets damage down, and you see that immediate slide forward, where he's trying to close the gap, trying to immediately put pressure on. And this end game, the way that they controlled things, I think it was all down to HardDecky just keeping poking damage onto teams with that wingman. He was superb today, and I think that a lot of the success was based off of the confidence that seems to be back into the, the sights, the gun sights of HardDecky when he takes those fights and he comes out and looks so successful.
Yeah, and the fact that he's able to do it, Mark, as the IGL of this team, so impressive. Second overall kill leaders, you gotta give respect to Leogree as well, but the overall impact he has on this team is certainly felt. You see it in these replays as well. Wingman non-stop. All he used was a wingman throughout the entirety of the day, it seemed like, and again, that's what we're used to seeing HardDecky performing with. He is a monster, and it certainly showed today. Dan, I want to hear your thoughts, though. Do you agree, disagree?
Oh, I completely agree, but I want to highlight someone else. I want to talk about someone who had to deal with pressure being added to a new team, and I'm going to talk about effect on Alliance. And when you are added to a team, when there is a lot of pressure, when there's a lot of talk about you, you've got to try and respond in the best way possible, and that's by popping off. That's by having the best week you can here in Pro League. And I think his individual ability and the way he approached fights, the way he engaged fights, he was the damage dealer at times. He would be getting up close and personal, getting in the face of opposition and leading the charge for Alliance. And I think that's exactly what Alliance needed. When you look at the loss of Vibes and what he used to offer, you needed someone who could replicate the damage output, and Effect is doing just that. You've got the calls being made for him, sending him on in. He's almost the soldier to the general, and he is making sure that he gets that damage done. Absolutely shredding no matter where he is. It doesn't matter if he's in the sky, if he's on the ground, he can be anywhere with the Horizon, and I do think that Horizon fits him perfectly with his playstyle.
Yeah, kudos and congratulations to Effect in his ALGS debut with Alliance. The young 17-year-old performed. I gotta agree with you wholeheartedly there. And again, I could barely tie my shoes when I was 17 years old, let alone moving to an entirely new country to compete and play alongside the Alliance squad. Kudos to Alliance for picking him up and supporting him and his family in their transition, moving to Serbia. And I'm excited to see his career continue to progress. I certainly agree wholeheartedly with those picks, gentlemen. This has been your Monster MVP. Great discussion as always in terms of who performed, how they performed, and when. And of course, it's a team game, but the MVP individual performance certainly does make a difference. That's for sure. As we get ready for a very special part of the post-game interview and breakdown, guess what? We're going to have a live interview. I'm getting word. I think it will be with Noises from IG, which gets me all types of excited. Just got confirmation in my ear that we are ready and live with Noises, the IGL of Invictus Gaming, one of the kindest people, one of my favorite pro players in all of Apex. Noises, congratulations on the dub. How you feel, man?
Thank you. Thank you. It feels good. It feels good. Yeah, really good.
Obviously, you get the monkey off your back. Your first win with Graceful and on your team, or sorry, you guys didn't win. You got second place, but your first, dominant standout top 2 performance. You started to perform. Talk to me about the last couple of weeks. Picking up Graceful, why you guys decided on Graceful, and how you've kind of molded and meshed it as a team.
I mean, replacing Bryn it's never going to be easy. He's just one of a kind. So we kind of had to take a different dynamic and think who we can get in, who's going to offer something else that we can work around instead of trying to find a Bryn. We tried to find a new
интервью дают?
Build the team around us basically. So I mean, Jay's played with Grace before, everyone knows how good he is. So we thought, let's get him in and let's try things out. And me and him have just hit it off, things like this take time. You have to build synergy, you have to understand each other, but I feel like we're getting, every single time we play, we're getting closer and closer. And the
Или гамбиты были уже?
Yeah, he's just doing so much damage, he's just doing so much work. So yeah, and it's also really helpful to have him because he's where he's used to IGL, he's he's got like a lot of experience and he understands how I feel and he understands how to support me. So yeah, I'm really enjoying playing with him right now.
Amazing stuff. Noises, I'm slightly annoyed at you because that was the exact question I was just about to ask. So don't worry.
Sorry, I'm rambling.
That's how good he is.
It's all good. I was going to ask about, you know, for the people at home, I always talk about the pressure that an IGL has on an Apex team, and it's like, it's very difficult because when you make a good move, it's like, okay, we expect you to do that. You're our leader. But when you make a bad move, it's kind of highlighted and you feel the pressure yourself. And, you know, you say that there's so important to have a co-IGL alongside.
Я думаю, почему Нави прошли так плохо сегодняшние игры. Ну, я за ними особо не следил, не знаю.
Because you made a big call to fight that team inside, and immediately you were backed up on your decision. You were kind of vindicated at it by Graceful. How good is it to have someone...
Батл рояль не только от тебя зависит, как ты отыграешь, но от других команд. Факторы рандома, въебутся тебя, не въебутся. Как другие будут ротироваться, пушить и так далее.
And the players, your teammates are sort of bouncing that energy back onto you. It just fills you with confidence. That's kind of what happened in that last fight. I was like, we should fight this. And then Grace is like, he's with me, you know? Like whether it's a good call or a bad call, he's with me. And it just makes me feel like...
Хардеки MVP либо... Эффект? В смысле эффект? Эффект 10 вообще. MVP по киллам Леня, потом Хардеки идет.
You feel like every call you make, whether it's good or bad, it's the burden is completely on you. Like it's your burden, and you kind of take it home, if you know what I mean. But in situations like that, like I knew we had to fight them. Like it's the only play to make, and Grace knows it too because he has like a deep understanding of the game, and he just screams yes, and it's like okay, let's do it. You know, it's really like empowering is the word I would use. It's very empowering. Yeah.
Yeah.
Make sure you go back and watch that VOD.
Кому заплатил, как говорится. Ты миксты там нашел?
I want to borrow your brain a little bit. I know you can't say too much because obviously things are competitive. You want to maintain integrity, but we'd love to hear your thoughts on current status of meta. How you think kind of meta currently is at. Why you guys run crypto instead of flavor of Newcastle Watson or instead of the Seer Horizon Valk, etc. etc.
So.
Так, что, я стоп-стартну, наверное, и подолбимся в Вики и что-нибудь посмотрим, может быть. Ну, на Ютубе уж точно будет стоп-старт делать. Так что, Ютуб, не теряйтесь. Перезапущу и снова с вами увидимся.